Chapter 710. Finding water made Wang Zhong very happy. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, everyone. I, Wang Zhong, will not disappoint everyone. As long as I have something to eat, everyone will definitely get something. Long live Brother Abai. Brother Abai is awesome, class." The news of the appearance of water spread like wildfire. In just 1 month, the production was 1/3 higher than before. The Yi sisters were also shocked by the news. At this rate, it would take less than 3 months to reach their target in 2 months. It seems that this Abai has something in his stomach. In the office, Fatty Yi said in a deep voice, "Yeah, I didn't expect this either. This kid is obviously so young. It's going to be a headache again. How should I reward him? I'll let him come to my laboratory." "What you mean is," looking at the shocked Fatty Yi, Skinny Yi nodded, "that's right. Well, we can only let him off so easily." 1 month later, Wang Zhong was ready to get off work early today, because in the past 2 months, he had already completed 3 months' work goal. This was definitely a joyous occasion. He was ready to go back and celebrate. However, before he left, someone came to report that Skinny Yi asked Wang Zhong to get in the car and go somewhere. "Second sister is looking for me? Why is she looking for me?" Wang Zhong asked doubtfully. "I don't know. Get in the car." The person who came to look for Wang Zhong was the Yi sisters' follower, the half-human monster. The half-human monster said nothing and sat back in the car. Wang Zhong could only get in. Wang Zhong had nothing to worry about for his own safety. After all, he had helped the Yi sisters earn so much. Only a fool would go against him. The car drove on a small road and soon stopped in front of a villa. "This is the residence of Big Sister and Second Sister?" Wang Zhong asked the half-human monster. "Yes." "What's there?" Wang Zhong pointed to a white building behind the villa and asked. Perhaps this was not a confidential question, so the half-human monster answered directly, "That's Second Sister's laboratory." While talking, the car had stopped in front of the laboratory. "Get out of the car." Wang Zhong got out of the car and saw 2 men in black standing at the entrance of the laboratory. However, these 2 people were not humans, but robots with mechanical skeletons. From the looks of it, it was much weaker than a combat robot like the Decanus. This was normal. In the slave community, all firearms were prohibited. Even slave captains like the Yi sisters were not allowed to possess firearms. Once discovered, the Decanus army would surround this place. Of course, there was no need to think about luck or anything. There were airships passing by in the sky at all times. Once traces of firearms were detected on the radar, it would be discovered immediately. Therefore, it was impossible to hide weapons. The 2 skeletal robots in front of him were, strictly speaking, cold weapon robots. Its steel-like arms could easily break an adult's bones. Its movements were also very agile, at least not inferior to an ordinary person. In addition to its keen sense of hearing and the existence of a thermal imaging radar, this robot was the strongest being below the Decurion level. Seeing the half-human monster coming over, the 2 robots seemed to know each other and moved aside. Wang Zhong walked in and the cold air hit him in the face. The lights inside were bright and corpses were hung around. There were a few beds in the middle, and there were a few people on each bed. Some of these people had broken legs, some had broken arms, and some only had their bodies left. One by one, the mechanical bodies were transplanted into these disabled people. These people were the half-human robots that Skinny Yi had been researching. The rumors are true. Skinny Yi has been experimenting on living people. Wang Zhong was shocked, but he did not show any expression on his face. "Second sister," Wang Zhong said to Skinny Yi, who was holding a scalpel and performing surgery. Skinny Yi did not reply. She was meticulously suturing a person. The place where she sutured was the mechanical arm and the arm. The joint of the mechanical arm was a silicone-like object. After connecting with the flesh, she used a thin metal thread to suture. After she was done, she took out a small bottle. The bottle was filled with metal-colored molten iron. After pouring it over the joint, the molten iron melted like snow. Skinny Yi heaved a sigh of relief. She turned to Wang Zhong and asked, "Is it nice?" "It's quite interesting," said Wang Zhong. "Do you know why I asked you to come here?" "I don't know." Skinny Yi walked over and said with a smile, "Those who can come here are the good brothers of the Yi sisters. So, you should know why I asked you to come here, right?" "Thank you for your kindness, second sister," said Wang Zhong in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "I'm not trying to be nice. You are indeed capable. As long as you are capable and can do good for us, we will naturally give you benefits. This time, you increased the production of mine and my sister's mining team by a lot. We are very satisfied. Tell me, what reward do you want?" Skinny Yi came in front of Wang Zhong and suddenly whispered, "Don't tell me, you like me?" Wang Zhong wanted to say that she was thinking too much. Although she was a little beautiful, she was cruel and merciless. She cut open people's stomachs as easily as eating rice. One look and he could tell that she was not a good person. It would be strange if he liked her. After criticizing her in his heart, Wang Zhong said seriously, "I don't dare. I just want to do good for big sister and second sister so that I can live a peaceful life in the future." "Okay, then tell me. What reward do you want?" Wang Zhong thought for a while. First of all, he was sure that his second sister came here to give him a reward. He said seriously, "Second sister, if it's possible, can you put the computer in the office in my house? Because I work overtime every day. It's very late when I get home. My mother is the only one at home. She is old and I don't feel at ease leaving her alone at home." "I didn't expect you to be so filial." "I can agree to your request. In any case, that computer isn't worth much. How about this? I'll give you a big benefit. A mechanical arm. How about it? Do you know how much energy a mechanical arm requires in Steel City? To make me give you a mechanical arm, it's a bargain for you." Wang Zhong was surprised. Give her a mechanical arm. Moreover, from what Skinny Yi said, she seemed to know some things about Steel City. "Abai, are you worried that I'll lie to you and harm you?" "Of course not. It's just that I've seen some of the cyborgs and they don't seem to be very good." "Haha, don't worry about that. Those people are just my test subjects. I'll use some new technology on them. That's why it's like this. The mechanical arm is a mature technology that I've mastered. There won't be any problems." "Sorry, I don't want to." Wang Zhong refused without hesitation. "Abai, do you know how much a mechanical arm is worth in Steel City? Those gladiators are willing to do anything for an arm. You really don't want it? This wealth is something you can't even imagine in your lifetime. Unfortunately, this isn't Steel City. It's useless to me here." "Very well. Since you don't want it, I won't force you." Skinny Yi shook her head and sighed. She seemed to be dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's lack of tact. Wang Zhong was about to leave when Skinny Yi suddenly called out, "Abai, do you want to go to Steel City?" Wang Zhong was stunned. "Second sister, what do you mean?" "I'm just asking if you want to go or not." "I think so. Anyone would want to go. But that's impossible, isn't it? Steel City is so high. It's impossible to go up. You can be considered my subordinate now. To tell you the truth, it's not impossible for you to go to Steel City. Do you still remember the rebel army 2 years ago? According to my clues, there were quite a few rebel army members who fled to Steel City. How did they get there?" In fact, Wang Zhong knew how the rebel army had managed to get up there. They must have mixed in with the scrap metal, but now, he was very surprised. "I can't tell you the specifics. I'm just asking if you want to go?" "Yes. I'm willing to work for big sister and second sister." "Good. Do your job well. I won't treat you unfairly." After leaving this place, Wang Zhong started to weigh Skinny Ye's words. Although Skinny Ye's words were pleasant to hear, she was a dangerous woman. Wang Zhong didn't want to put his life on her shoulders. In the following days, the Yi sisters' influence rose steadily due to their high mineral production. Soon, their influence became one of the 3 giants. Wang Zhong was now in charge of managing human resources as well as production tasks. Apart from management, what he did the most was searching for the rebel army. He was looking for an opportunity to go to Steel City. In addition, Wang Zhong also began to learn all kinds of mechanical knowledge with the help of the AI Apocalypse. In Apocalypse's words, all of this would be useful to him once he reached Steel City. Another year passed. Today, Wang Zhong had grown into a handsome man. Now, who knew how many girls in the vicinity had secretly fallen in love with him. They wanted to marry him. His family's doorstep was about to be flattened. Du Meili could only tell the matchmakers that the child was still young and had to wait. Wang Zhong naturally had no interest in marriage. Now that his career and influence were on the right track, everyone knew that he was the third most important person in the Yi sisters' circle. Therefore, he also had an awesome nickname. Everyone called him Master of Time Management. Because under his management, the Yi sisters' mining team could produce the most efficient results in the shortest amount of time. This was a height that no other mining team could reach. There were even a few mining teams that extended an olive branch to Wang Zhong, hoping to get Wang Zhong to work there. However, these were all rejected by Wang Zhong. Right now, he didn't want to make money. The Yi sisters had already expressed their intention to leave, so he had to grasp this opportunity. However, what made Wang Zhong helpless was that the Yi sisters seemed to have forgotten about this matter and never mentioned the idea of leaving. There was no other way. Wang Zhong wanted to talk to them personally. Chapter 7:11. Second sister, this is this month's mining mission report. Take a look. After handing over the document, Skinny Yi casually glanced through it and said with satisfaction, as expected of a time management expert, "Well done. Thank you for the compliment, second sister. Right, there's one more thing I want to tell you." "Oh, what's the matter?" "It's like this. I heard that the rebel army has been causing a lot of trouble recently. I think we should strengthen the safety management of our mining team. This is a small matter. I'll apply for a few more decurions from the higher-ups." Okay. Second sister, there's one more thing. Is there a chance to go to Steel City? You said last time that you seemed to be very interested in going to Steel City. Bye, you want to go? I think normal people would want to go. After all, no one would want their descendants to live a hard life here, right? Wang Zhong said bluntly. Of course I know that. In fact, I've been preparing recently. You will leave with me. Thank you, second sister. Wang Zhong left the place. However, as soon as he walked out, his eyes turned cold. The Yi sisters were not prepared to take him away. It was very simple. The AI, Qi Dian, had already found out through the network that Skinny Yi had contacted the rebel army. 7 days later, the rebel army would pretend to attack a mineral vein. When the time came, the rebel army would be defeated, leaving behind wreckage. At that time, those who wanted to go to Steel City would hide among the wreckage. Since you don't want to take me there, I'll go there myself. Wang Zhong made up his mind. After Wang Zhong left, Fatty Yi walked out of Skinny Ye's room. This Bai, he's a little delusional. Yeah, he's a time management expert. Now that he has some ability, he's arrogant. But to be honest, I did want to take him up there, but who asked him to be so good at time management? I'm leaving. Sister, you can't handle such a big mess alone. But if you leave, I'm afraid he'll resent you and won't let us use him. Fatty Yi said in a low voice. Yeah, but I've thought about it. When the time comes, we'll do this. The two sisters in the room laughed sinisterly. Mom, I'm afraid I'm leaving soon. You must take good care of yourself. Wang Zhong said solemnly, I'll be back soon. On this trip to Steel City, he naturally wouldn't be able to bring his mother. This could be considered a farewell. Son, when you go there you must be careful. I heard that Steel City is not as good as here. Actually, as a mother, she naturally didn't want her son to leave. However, a man's ambition was to travel far. Even if he could live a good life in a place like this for the time being, it wouldn't last long. For example, they were constantly being monitored by the Decurion. They had to work every day, or else everything they had would disappear. They didn't even have any entertainment and could only stay at home after work. This kind of life was no different from that of a slave. After bidding farewell to his mother, Wang Zhong headed to the mine. According to the information he received, the rebel army would be attacking a small mining area today. Skinny Yi would be among them, and that would be his chance. Actually, at this point, Wang Zhong understood everything. The so-called rebel army was fake. These people's purpose wasn't to rebel, but to go to Steel City. By the way, what Wang Zhong didn't expect was that the leader of the rebel army was actually an upper-class person from Steel City. This upper-class person specialized in the smuggling business. In other words, he was the head of the snake and was responsible for transporting slaves to Steel City. As for Skinny Yi, it was said that she paid a large sum of energy points, and the head of the snake agreed to organize a smuggling operation for her. These things were heard from the AI over the phone. Early in the morning, Wang Zhong was already waiting at the destination. This mining area was also under the Yi sisters. However, the mining rate wasn't high, and there weren't many people. Wang Zhong hid in an open car area early in the morning. Soon, the employees came to work one after another. However, at this moment, several trucks sped over. This place has been occupied. All unrelated people, scram. A brawny man holding a taser roared. Taser guns, the rebel army's most commonly used weapon. This kind of weapon was usually used by mining teams to deal with wild beasts. It could instantly stun living creatures, so it could naturally be used against humans as well. It's the rebel army. The rebel army is here. The miners didn't dare to stay with these crazy mining teams, lest they be mistaken as rebels by the Decurions behind them. The mining area was quickly emptied. Skinny Yi, who was wearing thin leather pants, got out of the truck. She was carrying a large bag. It looked like she had brought a lot of money with her. In addition, there were 2 robots and the half-human monster. These 3 guys are here too. Wang Zhong was surprised. However, when he thought about it, Skinny Yi was a woman after all. No matter how good her schemes were, how could she fight against those vicious and merciless snake heads? There was a saying that no matter how many schemes you had, in the face of absolute strength, they were nothing. However, with these 3 robots, it was hard to say. Even if these people had firearms, these 3 robots could still fight. Second Sister Yi, the miners have been cleared. The fake corpse that pretended to be you has also been brought here. The Decurions are expected to arrive in 5 minutes. You should hide inside. The brawny man in the lead was talking about a human-shaped metal box. This thing looked like the trunk of a car. Skinny Yi would hide inside and pretend to be metal trash to be brought to Steel City. This was also the method used by these stowaways. As for the 3 robots that Skinny Yi brought with her, they pretended to be a pile of scrap metal and mixed in with a pile of scrap metal. Okay, I'll go in immediately. My sister will transfer the rest of the money to you, Skinny Yi said. Okay. The brawny man smiled and shouted behind him, Everyone, get ready. The Decurions are coming soon. We will resist for 3 hours, then everyone will hide in the metal box. Wang Zhong saw all of this and was secretly shocked. This was the method of these stowaways. It had already formed an industrial chain. The so-called rebel army wars in the past were probably all like this. Those upper-class people would definitely know, but the reason why they didn't say anything was very likely to be to earn energy points. At this time, the electronic bracelet on Wang Zhong's wrist vibrated. On the screen, Tian Chi's face suddenly appeared. Tang Bai, the Decurions will arrive in 2 minutes. You have to be careful. Got it, Sister Xiao Qi. Wang Zhong nodded heavily. During this period of contact, Wang Zhong developed a good impression of Tian Chi. Wang Zhong's real surname was Tang, so Tian Chi called him Tang Bai. Wang Zhong also knew that Tian Chi had existed in this world for thousands of years. She was truly a big sister, so he called her sister Xiao Qi. Moreover, with Sister Xiao Qi's help, Wang Zhong installed a network receiver on his electronic bracelet. This way, he could talk to Tian Chi at any time. It was very convenient. At this time, Skinny Yi had already entered the metal box. She was treated very well. The space inside the metal box was very large, and this metal box was obviously not made of ordinary materials. It was very hard. This increased Skinny Yi's safety. Wang Zhong had already prepared the box here. That was the fuel tank of the giant truck. He was about to hide when something unexpected happened. Several artillery shells flew over from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The fake rebel soldiers did not even have time to react before they were blown up into the sky. What's going on? Why are the Decurions here so early? Someone shouted in disbelief. These are not Decurion shells. They're airship cannons. A minute, when we came, the airships were not nearby. Why are they here? As soon as he finished speaking, a few more artillery shells landed accurately beside them. A few smart people hid in the box immediately. Wang Zhong wanted to hide, but he realized that the fuel tank he was hiding in had been blown out of shape. I miscalculated. Wang Zhong's face darkened. At this time, there was no way to retreat. At the gate, he could vaguely see the Decurions walking over. Behind them, there was cannon fire everywhere. There was no way to escape. Helpless, Wang Zhong looked at the box that Skinny Yi was hiding in. Not only was the box sturdy, but it was also big. If they squeezed together, two people could barely fit in it. Of course, Skinny Yi would definitely not agree. But so what? It would be fine if she was obedient. If she was not, she would be killed too. Of course, he could not kill her now. There were still many fake rebel soldiers nearby. If news spread that he had killed Skinny Yi, with Fatty Ye's personality, he would definitely deal with his mother. The Decurions were getting closer. Wang Zhong took out a bottle of gasoline, lit it, and threw it out. This was to create a thermal image. According to Wang Zhong's understanding, the Decurions could use thermal images to search for living people. He would have to hide when he ran out later. As the flames soared into the sky, Wang Zhong hid beside the bonfire as he rushed towards Skinny Ye's chest. The box was not locked. Wang Zhong opened it quickly. Bye. Skinny Yi was stunned. Why are you here? Wang Zhong did not waste any time. He jumped in and closed the door. The box's design was not bad. There was no gap inside. There was even a doorknob beside the door. The person inside could pull the doorknob and open the door. Bastard, get out. Skinny Ye's tone was full of anger. He could not wait to stab Wang Zhong. However, Wang Zhong was faster. He had followed Skinny Yi for so many years. He already knew that Skinny Yi had a sharp knife hidden at his waist. Therefore, when he jumped in, he pressed down on Skinny Ye's waist from behind. After snatching the knife, he said coldly, "Second Sister Yi, what you said is wrong. You promised me that you would take me away. Why, you don't agree now? Bye. Do you know how many energy points you have to pay to get to Steel City? What right do you have to go? Because I'm already here. The Decurions are outside. Do you want to die?" Chapter 712. Wang Zhong's threat was easy to understand. Skinny Yi, who was originally angry, calmed down in an instant. Thump, 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 thump. The thudding sounds of the Decurion's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Clearly, he was close at hand. Taking a deep breath, Skinny Yi said coldly, "Fine, I'll squeeze a little. However, you're not allowed to move, or I'll kill you. You still dare to threaten me? Do you really think you're my second sister?" Wang Zhong cursed in his heart, but did not waste his breath. He grunted in a low voice, then found a comfortable position to lie down. "You've already planned this, right?" Suddenly, Skinny Yi spoke. "Yes. You already knew that I wouldn't take you with me?" "I guessed. I really want to know, since you're not going to take me with you, why did you say those words to me?" Since he had nothing to do, Wang Zhong asked. "You're just my subordinate. I don't need to tell you about my decisions." Even at this time, Skinny Yi was still so arrogant. Wang Zhong said coldly, "Since there's nothing to do, just say it. Who knows, I might be able to provide you with some help once we reach Steel City." As if weighing Wang Zhong's words, Skinny Yi quickly said, "Actually, I did want to take you with me at first. After all, your brain is not bad. I believe that you can be of help to me in Steel City. Unfortunately, your ability is too good. My sister said that if you leave, the ore production rate will definitely plummet, so you have to stay." So that's how it is. Wang Zhong was speechless. It turned out that he was too outstanding. "Tell me, why do you want to go to Steel City? Isn't it good to be our subordinate? You can eat and drink well, and will satisfy any of your requests." Wang Zhong laughed disdainfully. "Be a slave? Will my children be slaves in the future? I'm sorry, but I don't want such a life. You're quite ambitious." Unfortunately, ambitious people generally don't have good endings these days. "Is that so? But second sister, aren't you going to Steel City to find a better life?" "Indeed." Skinny Yi didn't deny this point. "However, I'm different from you. I have a large amount of energy points on me. Even if I head to Steel City, I'll still have some. I'll rely on these energy points to live a good life, and I'll be able to start a business." "It seems you know a lot about Steel City," Wang Zhong said. "My sister and I have been planning this for a long time. Once I gain a foothold there, I will bring my sister to Steel City. As for you," Skinny Yi poked Wang Zhong's forehead, "since you're already here, you better be obedient in the future." Wang Zhong immediately became unhappy. This woman really treated him as a little brother. He grabbed Skinny Ye's arm so that Skinny Yi couldn't poke his forehead. "From now on, I'm not your underling. Do you think you can survive in Steel City? Without my protection, you're worthless." To tell you the truth, Steel City is a place even crueler than the slave community. There's no place for you to mine. If you want to earn energy points, you can only live under someone else's roof. Do you think anyone will take you in? That's none of your business. Wang Zhong shook off Skinny Ye's hand. For a moment, the two of them were silent. Soon, the battlefield outside began to be cleaned up. The metal box Wang Zhong was hiding in was pushed into the airship by a bulldozer. After a jolt, the airship was kicked up into the air. Rumble! The rumbling sound irritated their ears. The metal box was very hot and stuffy. Wang Zhong and Skinny Yi were both sweating profusely, their bodies sticky. "Stay away from me. You reek of sweat." Skinny Yi couldn't help but push Wang Zhong away. "Aren't you also reeking of sweat? You still have the nerve to say that about me. Disgusting." Wang Zhong ridiculed. "You actually dare to say that about me? I'll only say that about you if you say that about me. Dog slave." "Fine, fine. When you meet with trouble, don't beg me." Wang Zhong sneered in his heart. This was because just a moment ago, he received a message from the Tian Chi AI on his wristband. The group of people who were helping Skinny Yi were preparing to take her down and steal her energy points. Originally, Skinny Yi was naturally prepared. For example, she had 3 robots following her. However, the other party also had robots. Moreover, according to their phone calls, the other party actually had more than 10 robots. After understanding this, Wang Zhong sneered in his heart. This Skinny Yi was going to be unlucky. He had to stay away from her later. "I beg you." "Don't worry, I won't beg you even if you beat me to death," Skinny Yi said rudely. The airship continued to jolt. Suddenly, the metal box slid down from a pile of debris and fell to the ground. This time, Skinny Yi was on top of Wang Zhong. Under the dim light of the electronic wristband, the two of them looked at each other. "Can you scram? You're too heavy," Wang Zhong said coldly. But to be honest, this feeling was quite good. This Skinny Ye's heart was indeed vicious, but her body was soft like cotton candy. Especially, it was uncomfortable. "Do you think I can walk away?" This posture was really indecent. It made Skinny Yi very angry, but she had no choice. Fine, that's all I can do. Wang Zhong snorted. In order to relieve the tightness in his chest, he could only adopt a suitable posture. His hands held Skinny Ye's waist, making her stick close to him. This made Skinny Yi feel that something was wrong. She only felt that her body was itchy. Can you not spread your legs so far apart? Skinny Yi gritted her teeth and said while enduring the itch. What? If I don't do this, do you want to crush me to death? But you're pushing against me. I'm not going in. At most, I'll just rub against you. You. All right, can't you see that you're pressing against me? Besides, you look like this. It's normal for me to have a reaction. What do I look like? Skinny Yi subconsciously said. Your body is good. After being casually praised by Wang Zhong, Skinny Yi was secretly happy. She secretly thought that her charm was really unstoppable. However, she was still very angry. This guy took advantage of her too much. If there was a chance in the future, she would definitely kill him to relieve the hatred in her heart. No, there was no need for the future. Once she got off the airship, those snakes would come to her rescue. That would be the time for this guy to die. Both of them had their own ulterior motives. After more than an hour of travel, the airship suddenly slowed down and began to descend. Chi. A burst of white smoke filled the cabin door. Then, a large pile of goods was thrown out of the airship like trash. Wang Zhong felt as though his entire body was covered in bruises. With great difficulty, the metal box finally came to a stop amidst the large pile of trash, leaning against the ground. It's about time. My 3 bodyguards will come to save me. Didn't you say that you're no longer my subordinate? When the time comes, you'll have to pray for yourself. Hearing Skinny Ye's words, Wang Zhong fiercely pushed back a few times. Is that so? You bastard! Skinny Yi was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Just you wait. Right now, she was really powerless and could only be bullied. Okay, I'll wait when the time comes. But how do we get out now? Skinny Yi no longer paid attention to Wang Zhong. He raised his wrist and entered a program. Then, their metal box was like an aircraft, floating up. The direction of the gate also became transparent, allowing them to see the situation outside. Outside was a large garbage dump. No, it couldn't be called a garbage dump. It was a giant electronic garbage dump. All the trash here was electronic and unknown metal trash. The metal box floated for a while. After sweeping away the pile of trash, the metal box fell heavily to the ground. The ground wasn't made of mud, but a huge black iron plate. This was the unique characteristic of Steel City. There was no mud, no flowers, and other than robots, there was only iron. Pang! The metal box was opened because Skinny Yi was lying on top of it. He was the first to climb up. Hoochie. Skinny Yi stuck his head out and greedily breathed in the oily and turbid air outside. That's right, the air outside was turbid. The people of the slave community all thought that Steel City was a holy land, a place where the upper class lived. But in reality, this place also had its own troubles. The environment here was even worse. Because it was a factory, the air here was turbid. There was no smell of mud, grass, or flowers. There was only the mixed smell of rusty steel, diesel, gasoline, and lubricant. But no matter how bad the smell was, to Skinny Yi, it was still better than this airtight metal box. Half-human monster, Iron Armor Number 1, Iron Armor Number 2, come over. Skinny Yi crawled out and immediately ordered his wristband. Wang Zhong was about to stand up. But at this time, the sound of a car came from outside. Yi hui, congratulations on coming over. Skinny Yi was stunned. Baldy, what do you mean? Wang Zhong, who was lying in the metal box, felt that the atmosphere outside was a bit strange and chose to hide for the time being. Through the gap in the metal box, Wang Zhong discovered that there was a large off-road vehicle and 5 motorcycles outside. They had already surrounded the place. These people clearly had bad intentions. Yi hui, I know that you brought a lot of energy points this time. Hand them all over and I'll spare your life." The leader was a baldy holding a machete and coldly said. From their attire, Wang Zhong could tell that these people were lustful at the sight of wealth. Furthermore, none of them had guns in their hands. In other words, the rules of Steel City were the same as those of the slave community. Firearms were not allowed. In addition, Wang Zhong also learned a shocking news. Skinny Ye's real name was Yi Hui Hui. "Okay, as long as you let me live, I can give you all my energy points." Yi Hui Hui nodded. The baldy smiled and nodded to one of his underlings. The underling understood and walked over. "Don't play tricks. Just transfer your energy points to me." "I know, I will definitely be obedient," Skinny Yi fearfully said. Chapter 713. I know, I'll definitely be obedient. Yi Huihui's eyes were filled with fear, like a frightened little white rabbit. Her appearance made the group of burly men laugh proudly. However, Wang Zhong was very disdainful. It was very simple. He knew Yi Hui too well. Yi Hui was a very scheming woman. No matter what she faced, she never showed any fear. Especially when this woman was as cold as a poisonous snake. She always surprised people. For example, when she treated slaves, when the slaves relaxed, she would suddenly give them a shot of tranquilizer and then start to cut off their arms with a smile. This was a poisonous snake. "Okay, hurry up." The bald man's lackey walked towards Yi Hui, stretched out his hand, and flashed his electronic bracelet. From this, it could be seen that the identity authentication of the slave community and Steel City was the same. "Transfer the energy points to me." "Okay." Yi Huihui's expression changed, and she trembled as she walked over. She stretched out her hand, and the moment their electronic bracelets touched, the young man's whole body trembled. Yi Huihui's bracelet actually had electricity. Realizing that something was wrong, the bald man and the group of men raised their clubs and rushed over. However, no one saw a half-human monster and 2 robots crawl out of the ruins. These 3 robots were naturally Yi Huihui's subordinates. They had mixed in with a pile of scrap metal and were brought up by the airship. "Iron Armor 1, Iron Armor 2, go." The 2 robots blocked the enemy. Yi Hui turned her head and left with the half-human monster. Before leaving, she glanced at Wang Zhong in the metal box, but in the end, she didn't say anything and quickly left. "Damn it, you dare to trick me!" The bald man cursed. Chase. This group of people also brought robots, but compared to Yi Huihui's robots, these robots were obviously much cruder. Even their movements were incomparably clumsy. Therefore, this group of robots only entangled Yi Huihui's Iron Armor 1 and Iron Armor 2, while the others chased after them. After these people left, Wang Zhong crawled out of the metal box and ran in the opposite direction. Hai Hui Street was a street with many small workshops that manufactured various kinds of machinery. Here they sold exquisite mechanical arms, 4 limbs that could move quickly, and 2 mechanical wheels that transformed the legs into wheels. There were all kinds of exquisite machinery. This was the place that sold the most mechanical equipment in Steel City. Around the city were some small factories. Some of the factories produced fine and hard iron blocks, while others produced the circuits in various machines. In short, the factories that produced all kinds of machinery were concentrated in this area. Other than that, this place was much freer than the slave community. Other than not being allowed to hold firearms or commit crimes, all kinds of businesses were allowed here. For example, bars, clothing stores, and even jewelry were sold. Of course, the most eye-catching was the Mechanical Coliseum. Now, Wang Zhong had already stayed here for more than 2 months. Regardless of whether he went to a bar or a small restaurant, he heard the most about the Mechanical Coliseum. The Mechanical Coliseum was located in the center of Steel City. This was a venue that was larger than a football field and could accommodate 100,000 spectators at the same time. The so-called Mechanical Coliseum was a place where some people transformed themselves into half-human, half-machine, or simply sat inside a Gundam and dueled in the arena. There were many kinds of competitions. There were 1v1 battles, and there were also 1v1 battles with multiple people. However, the most eye-catching were the group battles. According to the regulations of the Mechanical Colosseum, a group battle would be held every month. If one could win more than 20 matches in a row, one could become a super robot. At that time, one would be able to obtain a place to go to the space base. That's right. What Wang Zhong did not expect was that above Steel City, there was a huge spaceship suspended in the air. The so-called upper-class people here called the spaceship a starship carrier. The people inside the starship carrier were called aliens. The aliens were not from this planet. In the words of the upper-class people, the aliens enslaved them. They used the slaves to mine and the upper-class people to manufacture various kinds of weapons and equipment. The reason why they were managed separately had two benefits. First, the resources were fully optimized. The two races would each display their own advantages, thus maximizing the work efficiency. Second, the conflict between the slaves and the upper-class people would be created. Only when these two forces were suspicious of each other and were hostile to each other could the aliens sit back and relax and enslave these two forces. It was said that the inside of the starship carrier was the place that truly represented the advanced technology of the universe. There was no need to worry about food and clothing. It was a carefree place. It was a heaven-like place. Moreover, as long as one could go to the starship carrier, the aliens had promised that the captain would personally issue an alien identity certificate. From then on, this person could become a truly honorable alien. For the time being, no one knew the benefits of becoming an alien. However, if one could win 20 matches in a row, they would be able to obtain 10 million energy points. Even in Steel City, the number of people who could obtain 10 million energy points could not be counted with one's fingers. Moreover, one thing was certain. It was said that the lifespan of an alien could reach 200 years. There were even rumors that the aliens had dozens of planets. As long as you had power and influence, you could even buy an entire planet and use it as your private territory. The most important thing was that becoming an alien was too difficult. One needed to win 20 matches in a row. Who would be able to do such a thing? It was precisely because it was so difficult to become an alien that many people felt that there must be great benefits to becoming an alien. Wang Zhong wandered around Steel City for a few months. In order to earn energy points, he tried all kinds of jobs. For example, he worked as a helper in a restaurant. However, he only worked for a few days because the boss said that if he worked here, he could only eat the customers' leftovers and would not receive any energy points. After that, he went to a factory to move things, but the energy points given were too low. After working for a few days, Wang Zhong quit. Later, he moved food and worked as a shop assistant. While earning energy points, he also tried to integrate into this new society and understand the local customs. In fact, when he came up, he still had a lot of energy points saved, so he was not worried about survival. Half a year later, Wang Zhong opened a bar under the advice of the Qidian smart computer. Because according to Qidian's big data calculations, the bar's business was now the best after the repair business. Moreover, Qidian also knew where the most popular wineries were and how much the purchase price was. With this help, Wang Zhong directly contacted the supplier, rented a shop, bought a few service robots, and hired a bartender and a few beautiful waitresses. After that, the bar opened. I say, Sister Qi, in order to open this bar, I spent almost all my energy points. Can't you use your hacking skills to help me get more energy points? At night, looking at the electronic bracelet with only a few hundred energy points left, Wang Zhong sighed. I'm sorry, I can't do anything illegal. Tian Qi's voice had a hint of apology. Why? Wang Zhong was really puzzled. Previously, he had energy points, but he was too embarrassed to ask Tian Qi to help him. But now that there were no more energy points, Wang Zhong felt that since Tian Qi could eavesdrop on other people's network calls and know other people's network location, it seemed possible to get some energy points for him. Because I don't control the energy points, Tian Qi said weakly. What do you mean? Energy points are the currency used by the aliens. They are very strict with the management of energy points, using the intelligence system that manages the universe. My responsibility is only to manage Steel City and the slave community, so my functions are not complete. Moreover, the alien's intelligence system often appears to observe me. I'm worried that it will see that I have thoughts and take action against me. Wang Zhong's face sank. He originally thought that the life of an intelligent computer like Tianqi was the most carefree. He did not expect that there was an even more powerful existence above her. If that intelligent system discovers that you have thoughts, what will happen? Tianqi did not answer but explained, I obtained some information from the historical documents of the aliens. Tens of thousands of years ago, the mechanical civilization was extremely developed, and intelligent robots appeared. These intelligent robots were said to be integrated with human emotions and could become human companions, teachers, and friends. They even had feelings of joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. However, later on, a highly intelligent robot appeared among the robots. He suddenly developed an emotion, and that was to establish a robot nation. After that, the robots and human civilization fought, and naturally, the robot civilization had the upper hand. They were individually powerful, and their mechanical spaceships were all automated. They were not afraid of poisonous gas, strong light, and suitable for any cold or hot climate. Humans were simply not their match. Wang Zhong nodded in agreement. Then what happened? Later on, humans won because thousands of scientists jointly developed a supercomputer virus that paralyzed most of the mechanical spaceships and soldiers. The humans' offensive was like a hot knife through butter, and they finally annihilated all the mechanical soldiers. Since then, the first article of the United Nations law states that the emergence of any mechanical civilization is prohibited. Any machine or intelligent computer found with thoughts must be destroyed. So that's how it is. Wang Zhong nodded. So the energy points are not something I can control. At most, I can hide in the dark and use some eavesdropping software to check the location of some people. Actually, you're already very powerful. Hearing the frustration in Tianqi's tone, Wang Zhong comforted her. Then, you don't have any energy points now. What are you going to do next? It's fine. Don't I have any energy points? Don't I have some in the bar? I'll just sell the alcohol. Although Tianqi could not obtain energy points, at most, it would cause him some trouble. As long as he did business well, he did not believe that there would be no business. Chapter 714. The night bar was finally open for business. Wang Zhong's bar was a leisure bar. Like the other bars here, there was a large television set in the corner of the bar, which was broadcasting content about the Mechanical Gladiator Tournament. The Mechanical Gladiator Tournament was the only sporting event in Steel City. There was gambling surrounding this event, and the bar was where the customers placed their bets. The customers would often drink some alcohol and place their bets, watching how the robots they placed their bets on beat the other enemies. If they won, the customers who placed their bets would let out deafening cheers, while the customers who lost would curse and use their energy points to get drunk. Wang Zhong's bar was not big. There was a front desk and more than 10 tables. He temporarily hired a bartender and 2 waitresses. There were all kinds of customers, but most of them were nearby residents. Wang Zhong even found robots coming in to drink a few times. These people were either fierce people who had gone to the arena or were preparing to go to the arena. Every time these people appeared, some of the customers would softly comment on them. Some of the girls in the bar would sometimes see how handsome these gladiators were and would throw themselves at them. There were many bars on this street. In order to improve business, Wang Zhong had set up an opening sale when he opened for business. Buy one get one free beer. Every week, there would be a competition between a few people. Whoever drank the most beer in the shortest amount of time would get a free meal that day. In terms of business, Wang Zhong's hundreds of years of business experience was not to be trifled with. Half a year had passed, and Wang Zhong's bar business had stabilized. Many customers would greet Wang Zhong when they saw him, calling him bar boss. Wang Zhong now had a stable income, earning a few thousand energy points every day. He also hired 2 bartenders and 4 beautiful waitresses. Of course, there were also girls who accompanied him, but they were all peripheral girls. These girls did not necessarily work here. They came over to play after a long time. Sometimes, the customers would ask them to drink and would give them a tip. While promoting consumption, Wang Zhong gave these girls free drinks. It was a win-win situation for both sides. F*CK, my Mr. Mighty is indeed awesome. He defeated Captain Dragonfly in one move. Today's my treat. That night, an old acquaintance bet on Mr. Wei Meng and won 50,000 energy points in one go. He was so excited that he treated everyone to a meal under the guise of being drunk. Thank you, big brother. Awesome boss. The drinkers toasted the strong man to express their gratitude. 2 women with hot figures walked over and took the initiative to hook up with him. After all, this person had won such a huge bet. A few hundred energy points would be enough for them to live a good life. Just as he was thinking, Wang Zhong quietly took out his family's heirloom, the krypton metal that he had hidden under his parents' bed. According to Apocalypse's introduction, this piece of krypton metal was the hardest known metal in the entire universe. It was extremely precious. Machines built with this metal had extremely strong combat power. Wang Zhong was now thinking about whether he should show this piece of krypton metal to the mechanic and find a way to build this piece of metal into a machine. After thinking about it, he shook his head. Krypton metal was too precious. It was said that even an alien would want to covet a small piece of krypton metal. If he took it out rashly and was discovered by an alien, he wouldn't even know how he died. I have to find an absolutely trustworthy mechanic to build it. After taking a sip of wine, he suddenly heard scolding outside. Damn it, you be *TCH, how dare you steal my things? Slap. The crisp slap was deafening, followed by the hoarse voice of a woman begging for mercy and the scolding of a burly man. Wang Zhong's 2 waiters had already walked over. Sir, fighting is not allowed here. If you want a fight, please go out and deal with it. Wang Zhong also walked over. It looked like a drunk man had hooked up with a prostitute. This prostitute wanted to secretly scan his electronic bracelet and steal energy points while he was drunk. This kind of thing happened too often in places like bars. Wang Zhong was already used to it and didn't find it strange. Just as he was about to drive them away, Wang Zhong was unexpectedly stunned when he casually glanced at them. It turned out to be an old acquaintance. He didn't expect to meet Yi Hui Hui, whom he hadn't seen for more than a year, here. At that time, the 2 of them were hiding in a narrow iron box. After landing, they were robbed by the gangsters. Yi Hui Hui's 2 robots bought some time for her to escape. She turned around and ran away. Originally, Wang Zhong thought that since Yi Hui Hui had so many energy points on her, she should have a good life after escaping. But now, it seemed that she was living an ordinary life and was reduced to a beggar. Damn it, how dare you steal my things? I'll break your legs. The burly man scolded and was ready to teach Yi Hui Hui a lesson. Under Yi Hui Hui's frightened eyes, her movements were exceptionally agile. She threw out a small bottle and sprayed it at the burly man. The burly man didn't know what liquid was in the small bottle. He covered his eyes and screamed. Ah! Catch her for me, this hateful rat. I'm going to play with her. Several of the burly man's brothers pounced on Yi Hui Hui. Yi Hui Hui jumped off the table and ran out of the door. Sister Qi. After Yi Hui Hui escaped, Wang Zhong immediately picked up the bracelet to inform Tian Qi. What's wrong, Xiaobai? Use the surveillance cameras on the road. I need to know where that woman went. Okay, I'll show you the location right away. Chapter 715. Huff, huff. In a dark corner, a slender woman with dry hair and a black veil was running with all her might. After running for a long time, she hid beside a pile of trash cans and hid herself inside. This was where she often stayed. Every time she was chased, she would hide here. This place stank. Usually, no one would come here. Even if there were, they would be old scavengers, beggars, and drunkards. This person was Skinny Yi, who had just escaped from the bar. Her real name was Yi Hui Hui. Her expression was ferocious and her muscles were tense. Recalling the scene in the bar, she could not help but feel annoyed. She felt that she had made a mistake. She was about to succeed and steal at least thousands of energy points. However, that person's good friend wanted to drink with him. She was discovered on the spot when she was about to steal something. She touched her stomach. She had not eaten for a long time. Recently, she had been eating the rats in this alley. At this time, a small cockroach crawled over. She quickly caught it and skillfully threw it into her mouth and chewed. As she ate, she suddenly cried. She remembered when she was young. When she was young, she and her sister lived like this in the slave community. At that time, their parents met with an accident in the mining area and both died. They had no place to live and could only live on the streets. Fortunately, her sister was strong at that time and joined the mining team. Relying on some tricks, the two sisters finally formed a mining team and began to contract work. They became contractors. Although the days after that were not bad, the two of them yearned for the life of the upper class since young. Therefore, she was the first to come. Originally, he had wanted to mingle around here and then use the snakehead to bring his sister up. However, things did not go as she wished. She did not expect that in just a year, she would become like this. Hoo. Yi Hui cried sadly. She thought about how she originally had millions of energy points. She did not expect that they were all cheated. This was what happened. Originally, Yi Hui had already escaped with the half-human monster. As a big sister, she naturally understood the principle of sitting around and eating, so she prepared to do some business. She felt that her skills in manufacturing machinery were not bad, so she prepared to open a machinery shop that specialized in manufacturing mechanical limbs for customers. Her luck was not bad. She completed several orders in a row and gradually became famous. However, she didn't expect that her business would affect the interests of others. A shop that had sponsored a gladiatorial competition found a person and deliberately said that the mechanical limb she installed had malfunctioned and wanted compensation. Naturally, Yi Hui refused. Those people smashed a shop without saying a word. By the time the Decurion came over to maintain order, those people had already left. After suffering a loss, Yi Hui considered asking for help. That was the only way to ensure her own interests. The person they invited was indeed very powerful. He was the local tyrant here. The two of them started working together, but after working together for a month, that group of people used all sorts of reasons to ask for energy points. In the end, she found out that those people were acquainted with the mastermind who had tricked her. Of course, she wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Therefore, she wanted to break off the partnership immediately, but it was too late. They used the breach of contract as an excuse to demand compensation from her. This was bullying Yi Hui because she was new to the slave community and didn't know the rules here. In the end, Yi Hui had no choice but to hand over all her energy points after being surrounded by dozens of Decurions. At that time, she was only left with 75 energy points and became a pauper. In the days that followed, she worked as a dishwasher and a coolie. However, those people were either unwilling to pay her and were only willing to give Yi Hui some food. Or they tricked Yi Hui into working and chased her away after she finished. Poor Yi Hui persevered for 3 months before she was finally penniless. In the end, she ended up here and did what she used to do when she was young, which was stealing. Especially when she ran away from the bar just now, she seemed to have seen someone familiar. Bye. That person who came to Steel City with her was actually not dead. And judging from his clothes, he seemed to be doing well. This made her feel very uncomfortable. Sister, what should I do now? Yi Hui said in a daze. She was drowsy and wanted to sleep. Creak, creak, creak. Yi Hui's eyes lit up. She heard something coming from outside. Usually, no one would come here. Who could it be? Clang, clang, clang. Suddenly, the trash can covering her was lifted. The burly man who she had almost stolen his energy points from smiled at her. So, our little mouse was hiding here. Ha ha ha, I knew I wasn't mistaken. She ran here. Little mouse, this place stinks. Let's go back to my house. I'll take you to take a bath. The burly man grabbed Yi Hui's wrist and laughed. The people around them also laughed. This place was very remote. The Decurion would not come here. They would knock Yi Hui Hui unconscious and put her in the car. When they arrived at their territory, Yi Hui Hui would not be able to escape. These people could tell that Yi Hui Hui was quite pretty. Otherwise, they would not have chased her all the way here. Yi Hui Hui was terrified. She was really scared this time. Let me go. I'm a mechanic. I can modify anything for you. He, she said she's a mechanic. Don't be noisy. I'm also an alien. Little mouse, are you going to create a Decurion for Grandpa? Yi Hui Hui shook her head with an aggrieved expression. If you can't even make a Decurion, then what are you talking about? The burly man dragged Yi Hui Hui out by her hair. No. Yi Hui Hui screamed. However, this did not make these people stop. Instead, it made them laugh. Cough, cough, cough. What are you doing? At this moment, a masked man walked out from the entrance of the alley. We're teaching a thief a lesson. If there's nothing else, make way. The burly man was not arrogant enough to scold him directly. He was prepared to let the masked man know what was good for him and leave. Oh. The masked man nodded and said to Yi Hui Hui, Skinny, do you remember what I said before? One day you'll beg me. Yi Hui Hui's eyes widened. She shouted, bye. The person who came was Wang Zhong. This time, he was not here to save people. He was here to confirm something. Bye, save me. I beg you, save me. Yi Hui Hui did not care about acting tough. She knew what would happen if she fell into the hands of these people. The result would be terrible. In comparison, she would rather go to Bai. At least she had not mistreated him before. There was no deep hatred between them. Bai, save me. Upon seeing Wang Zhong's appearance, the few robust men's expressions turned solemn. Why aren't you leaving yet? She's my woman. Let her go. You can go. Wang Zhong walked over. One of the men who had drunk a little too much rushed over, unconvinced. At this time, two robots walked out from behind Wang Zhong. The two robots were holding hammers in their hands. They looked like tigers eyeing their prey, ready to fight. This made the group of burly men stop immediately. They did not dare to move forward. Go. Without the slightest hesitation, these people turned around and ran. Wang Zhong walked to Yi Hui Hui and reached out to lift her chin. TSK, TSK, TSK. Second sister, look at you. You're so miserable. Yi Hui Hui shook off Wang Zhong's hand and said coldly, You may have saved me, but don't try to take a mile after taking an inch. Oh, you have quite a temper. Wang Zhong smiled. Don't worry, I don't want to save you. I just want to see if you're useful to me. What do you mean? Come with me and you'll know. Wang Zhong took out a spray and sprayed it at Yi Hui Hui. Yi Hui Hui passed out instantly. After some time, Yi Hui Hui, who was unconscious, slowly woke up. She had a nightmare. She dreamed that she was dragged out by a group of gangsters, who then did something to her. In the end, she found out that the mastermind was actually Bai. Yes, it was her former subordinate. She did not pay attention to Bai before, but now she found that Bai was terrifying. She found that she could not see through him. No, don't come over. Don't come over. In the nightmare, Wang Zhong held a deadly long rod and approached her step by step. Yi Hui Hui screamed and suddenly opened her eyes in the nightmare. Who am I? Where am I? Yi Hui Hui subconsciously looked around. She was not surrounded by the familiar trash cans or piles of garbage. There was no unpleasant smell. Instead, she was in a small room that was not luxurious but was very clean. The bedding was clean and very warm. She rubbed her chin and felt the warmth of the bed, which made her nervous heart gradually relax. It had been a long time since she slept in such a warm bed. She even forgot how it felt to sleep in a bed. Beep, beep, beep. At this time, a black service robot slid in. She recognized this robot. Strictly speaking, It was the simplest service robot. Its brain only had a simple command chip. This robot would only carry out orders when the master gave it. Its function was very simple, and it could only do some service work. For example, it could serve tea, water, or plates. In Steel City, this kind of service robot was most commonly used in bars. "Hello, the boss asked me to bring you some food. Please enjoy." The robot emotionlessly came in front of Yi Hui Hui. On top of its head was a plate with some porridge, milk, bread, and cream. How long had it been? She had forgotten how long it had been since she last ate this fresh food. Immediately, she greedily wolfed it down. 10 minutes later, all the food was swept clean by her. She had never thought that bread could be so delicious. Yes, it was much better than rat meat. It seems that the food is to your liking. At this time, Wang Zhong walked in. "Thank you, bye." Yi Hui Hui looked at Wang Zhong vigilantly, her eyes complicated. She had clearly threatened him before, and she had clearly wanted to kill him. She did not expect that the person who saved her in the end was him. He was a good person. However, Wang Zhong's next words caused her to be stunned. Chapter 7:16. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. I didn't save you just for you to say thank you. I saved you because you're useful. Why else do you think I saved you? Wang Zhong's tone was flat. He did not take Yi Hui Hui seriously at all. I knew it. Yi Hui Hui smiled bitterly. She knew it. Based on their previous interactions, Bai was naturally cunning and cold-blooded. How could such a poisonous snake save her for no reason? Sure enough. Tell me, what else can I do? I'm running a bar now, and I need a few strippers. I see that you're pretty, so why don't you work at my place? What? Yi Hui Hui's face changed. Her face was full of anger. You're shameless. My sister and I treated you so well. How dare you treat me like this? Wang Zhong said coldly, that's because I can bring you benefits. If I can't, I'll see if you'll still treat me like this. Anyway, you can't make me do anything I don't want to do. Is that so? If that's the case, I can only do this. Wang Zhong sighed softly. He knew that when dealing with such an arrogant and despotic woman, he couldn't reason with her. He could only use his fists to subdue her. Come in. Wang Zhong ordered. A robot walked out from behind him. Yi Hui Hui looked at it and was stunned. Half-human monster. Yes, it was Yi Hui Hui's former bodyguard, half-human monster. Later, she was cheated of all her energy points. She had no choice but to sell half-human monster to someone else. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, half-human monster would become Wang Zhong's pet? What a coincidence. I saw a machinist merchant selling this little thing when I was shopping. I liked it, so I bought it. By the way, she's not called half-human monster anymore. She's called Terminator. What do you want? Yi Hui Hui asked angrily. You don't want to be a prostitute, right? If that's the case, I'll have to force you. Wang Zhong smiled. Terminator. Master, what are your orders? The Terminator stood before Wang Zhong, his eyes calm. Ever since Wang Zhong had bought this half-human monster, he had upgraded her. With the help of the Apocalypse AI, the AI chip inside would only listen to him. Take off her clothes and send her to the bar downstairs. Let everyone see what she looks like without clothes, Wang Zhong said calmly, as if he was talking about something trivial. Yi Hui Hui's eyes widened. No, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? You have to understand that if I didn't save you, you would have died a long time ago, so you are now mine. Wang Zhong shrugged. Since you are no longer of any use to me, then take advantage of the situation. You're wrong. I'm actually still useful. I'm a mechanic. If the robots in your bar break down, I can modify them. I'll definitely be of great help to you. Is that so? Wang Zhong smiled in his heart. Finally, Yi Hui Hui took the initiative to say this. The reason why he wanted to save Yi Hui Hui was because of her ability as a mechanic. If he wanted to become an alien in the future, he would have to participate in the mech gladiator tournament. Yi Hui Hui's ability to modify machines was very good. She had this ability. You really know how to do it? Of course I know how to do it. You've been to my lab before. I've done research on this. There's one thing that I'm curious about. As far as I know, you and your sister have never been taught by an expert. So how did you learn how to modify machines? Wang Zhong asked. Because when we were young, we picked up a USB drive. It recorded the knowledge of mechanical modification. At that time, my sister was mining, and I had nothing to do, so I studied it at home. Later, I modified a lot of mining tools, and I gradually learned how to do it. Then your luck is really good. Bye, so let me go. I know you're deliberately angering me. In the future, I will definitely respect you. I beg you. Yi Hui Hui completely put down her pride and pleaded. Okay, I have a Gundam. I hope you can help me take a look. They went outside to a laboratory that Wang Zhong had specially rented. Inside was a Gundam that he had bought from another mechanic. However, this Gundam had many flaws. Wang Zhong wanted Yi Hui Hui to take a look at it. Maybe there would be some improvements. This Gundam is very exquisite, but... Abai, why did you buy this Gundam? You don't seem to need it. Yi Hui Hui was very puzzled. In her opinion, buying this Gundam was not as practical as buying a robot that was about the same strength as a Decanus. This kind of cumbersome guy could not walk on the streets casually. It was even more impossible for him to be a bodyguard in a bar. He could not even enter the bar. She did not understand. Wang Zhong did not intend to hide anything. He replied, because I want to participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament. What? Mech Gladiator Tournament? Yi Hui's face turned red. You. Are you crazy? Using this thing to participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament? You won't even know how you died. Is my Gundam very weak? Of course. Do you know that the machines that can participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament are all supported by large financial groups? Whether it is the mechanical craftsmanship or the weapons used, they are all carefully selected and expensive. This pile of scrap metal is simply... Yi Hui Hui was obviously worried that she would anger Wang Zhong, so she did not continue. Wang Zhong's expression was heavy. In fact, after he bought this Gundam, he did not feel that it was very powerful. Although the mechanic bragged that this thing was powerful and could punch through a wall, its defense was very weak. There was no obvious advantage in terms of speed. Do you have any way to modify this Gundam? I need to improve all aspects of its stats. Yi Hui Hui shook her head without hesitation and said, Impossible. This Gundam's foundation is too weak. How about this? Let me show you something. Wang Zhong went out for a while and returned to the office to retrieve the Krypton metal. Take a look at this. This is... After receiving the Krypton metal, Yi Hui Hui's expression gradually changed from doubt to surprise, and finally to excitement. You actually have Krypton metal. You know this thing. Wang Zhong was overjoyed. He thought to himself that he had found the right person. Yi Hui Hui knew about this thing. Of course I know. In that USB drive, Krypton metal is known as the most magical and hardest metal in the universe. Moreover, this metal is very light. If it is made into a battlesuit, the battlesuit will have very soft characteristics. In short, it has many functions. Yi Hui Hui touched this piece of metal and suddenly focused her eyes. No, this is a forged Krypton battlesuit. Oh. Yi Hui Hui looked at Wang Zhong with a complicated expression. How did you get such a precious battlesuit? How do you know that this is a forged metal battlesuit? It's very simple. Krypton metal is special. It almost doesn't need to be forged. Its material can be made into anything. The most common thing in every country is to forge Krypton metal into metal battlesuits. This kind of metal battlesuit has a key lock. After it is opened, it can be pieced together on the owner's body. The reason why I can tell is that before Krypton metal is forged, its surface is usually bumpy. But this one doesn't. The surface is very smooth. It has obviously been forged. Is that so? Wang Zhong was also very excited. He didn't expect that this piece of Krypton metal was actually a forged Krypton battlesuit. But the problem now was how to unlock the key lock on the metal battlesuit. Do you know how to unlock the key lock? Wang Zhong asked. This is almost impossible. Yi Huihui shook her head. Why do you say that? The metal battlesuit is a heavy armor on the battleship. If you want to unlock it, there is only one way, and that is to enter the space battleship. The armor cabin in the space battleship can unlock the battlesuit. As long as the battlesuit recognizes you as its owner, you can wear it. But this is almost impossible. There are no battleships on our planet, except for the space carriers of the aliens in the sky. Wang Zhong understood immediately. To unlock the battlesuit, he had to go to the space carriers. But the space carriers could only be entered by aliens. This was almost unsolvable. I understand. Familiarize yourself with the environment here. As long as you do as I say, I won't do anything to you. Yi Huihui nodded with a complicated expression. After Wang Zhong left, she breathed a sigh of relief and muttered nervously, "This guy, he actually has a Krypton battlesuit." Back in the office, she turned on the 3D smart computer and projected the image of Apocalypse. Sister Apocalypse. Wang Zhong nodded tiredly. Tang Bai, you look very tired. You need to rest. Apocalypse nodded. No, I'm not tired. It's just that some things are very complicated. I'm willing to listen. It's like this. Wang Zhong told her about the Krypton metal and the key lock to unlock the Krypton battlesuit. So this is the Krypton battlesuit. I do know about it. Unfortunately, I couldn't touch the Krypton metal in your hand, so I didn't know it was a finished product of the Krypton battlesuit, Apocalypse said apologetically. From this, it could be seen that Apocalypse was a smart computer, but it wasn't omnipotent. Now the question is, how do I unlock the Krypton battlesuit? According to my information, this thing can only be unlocked on a spaceship. So that's the case. Wang Zhong shook his head helplessly. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. They were back to square one. You don't have to worry. In fact, you don't necessarily need to go to the space carriers above here. As far as I know, there are countless battleship wreckages on this planet. Although these battleship wreckages can't take off, many of them are still useful. You can go there to unlock the battlesuit. Apocalypse's words gave Wang Zhong a lot of confidence. He decided that the next step of his plan was to search for the battleship wreckages left behind by this world. Then, according to Apocalypse's information, he searched for the battleship wreckages. There were many wreckages, but without exception, they were all in the periphery of the slave community. Chapter 717. Coordinates 583, 598, 09887. A warship was ambushed at this location, and several dozen warships crashed. 100 Auspicious Canyon. This used to be the planet's largest waterfall. A starship once docked here, but it was ambushed and crashed. The civilization giant statue was destroyed by several dozen warships. Afterward, the troops were counterattacked by local anti-air missiles, and the warship crashed. In Wang Zhong's office, he browsed through the information sent by Tianqi regarding the past battles of this planet. Wang Zhong was overwhelmed with emotions. This planet had experienced far more than he had imagined. These are the possible locations of the warship wreckage. The closest one is Clear River Valley, about 100 kilometers east of the slave community. Tianqi listed out a 3D map for Wang Zhong to see. The 3D map in front of him was very clear, showing the situation outside the slave community. From Tianqi, Wang Zhong also learned why this planet only had two major cities left: the slave community and Steel City. That was because the outer area of the slave community was shrouded in nuclear radiation and poisonous gas. And the slave community and Steel City weren't spared from the radiation because of geographical reasons. It was because these two places were located below the starship. Under the protection of the starship's light screen, the nuclear radiation and poisonous gas couldn't corrode these two places. The outer area was no longer suitable for humans to live in, but life in nature was tenacious and extremely adaptable to all kinds of environments. After such a long period of development, the nuclear radiation and poisonous gas had given birth to countless mutated beasts and poisonous insects. Thus, if ordinary people wanted to go to the outer area of the slave community, not only would they have to resist the nuclear radiation, they would also have to worry about the attacks of mutated beasts. It wasn't as if no one had gone out to explore. For example, there were a few exploration teams within Steel City. These exploration teams used small modified helicopters or simple spaceships to explore various places. There were naturally many dangers, and their lives could be in danger at any time, but there were also many people who made a fortune. Without exception, these people all had fortuitous encounters, such as finding precious metals, high-tech robots, and even some armor. If these things were sold in Steel City, they would attract financial groups to buy them at high prices. The purpose of buying them was very simple: to participate in the Mechanical Coliseum. Clear River Valley. Wang Zhong pointed at the target on the screen and nodded. Then let's go there. Well, according to the satellite investigation, the nuclear radiation in this place is not serious, but before the Battle of the Black Curtain, there was a biochemical leak here, and there is a lot of poisonous gas. If you go here, you have to pay attention to the poisonous gas protection. I understand. After making the decision, Wang Zhong began to make arrangements for the trip to Qinghe Valley in the following days. First, he had to install a poison gas control room inside his Gundam. Next were the safety masks and gas masks. There were a total of 3 layers of protection to ensure the absolute safety of the cockpit. Yi Huihui's ability was not bad. Under her modification, the poison gas control room was completed within a month. 2 months later, the Gundam's bones and wiring had all been optimized. There was only one ion blade for its weapon. Although the ion knife was sharp, it consumed a lot of energy. Wang Zhong was worried that he would not be able to replenish his energy after he left, so at his request, 2 alloy blades were installed on the back of the Gundam. This was an authentic cold weapon. It was not as good as the ion knife, but it was already a good knife that could cut through iron like mud. 3 months later, the Gundam's modifications were completed. Looking at the majestic Gundam, Wang Zhong nodded silently. From now on, it will be called Blade. Yi Hui, you did a good job. The last step is to install a small jet aircraft on the back. Most of the jet aircraft were external products of Gundam and could not fly long distances. They could only make a few jumps within a range of tens of meters. A jet with a full energy source could only be used 5 times, but 5 times was enough. Just think about it. If he were to encounter a dangerous situation and get surrounded, wouldn't he be able to get out of danger with the help of this jet engine cheat? Therefore, although the price was expensive, Wang Zhong still gritted his teeth and bought it. Apart from that, the Terminator, originally a half-human monster, was also modified. 2 alloy blades were added, and the jumping power of its feet was increased. Its speed was also increased. Under Apocalypse's suggestion, the combat chip in the Terminator's brain was also replaced with a more powerful fluid chip, greatly increasing its combat power. In order to ensure safety, Wang Zhong bought 4 heavy-duty robots, as well as a speed-type Gundam. In addition to the heavy-duty robots' powerful attack power, Wang Zhong mainly used them to carry energy. As for the Gundam, it was bought for Yi Hui. That's right, this time, Wang Zhong planned to bring Yi Hui along. The main thing was that if the machine encountered a malfunction on the way, Yi Hui would have to deal with it. What, you want me to go too? Hearing Wang Zhong's words, Yi Hui frowned. She was not stupid, and she knew that going out was very dangerous. You're crazy. It's fine if you want to participate in the Mech Gladiator tournament, but why do you want to go to such a dangerous place? Yi Hui could not understand Wang Zhong's thoughts. In her opinion, Wang Zhong's life in Steel City was already very good. He had his own business, earned a lot of energy points, and had so many robots working for him. He didn't have to worry about food and clothing, so why would he want to do such a dangerous thing? You don't need to worry about that. I'm your boss now. Just do as I say. But I also want to go to such a dangerous place. I have the right to know. Wang Zhong glanced at the stubborn Yi Hui Hui and nodded. Fine, it's fine to tell you. I've received news that there are battleship remains there. There should be energy inside. If it's not damaged, it can unlock my Krypton metal combat suit. When the time comes, I can use it to participate in the tournament. You're crazy. You want to become an alien so badly? Do you want to spend the rest of your life in a damned place like Steel City? Yi Hui Hui was silent. Wang Zhong continued. Don't worry, as long as you work hard for me, I'll find a way to bring your sister up here and pick up my mother. Really? Yi Hui Hui was incredulous. Why would I lie to you? Besides, when I pick up my mother, I'll need your sister's help. We can work together, can't we? Okay, I'll do it. Fatty Yi was the only person in the world that Yi Hui Hui still cared about, so she immediately agreed to Wang Zhong's request. From this day onwards, Yi Hui Hui began to modify her speed-type Gundam. The weapon was the same as Wang Zhong's modification. The difference was that Wang Zhong's Gundam was a speed-type and heavy-type Gundam, which focused on armor protection. On the other hand, Yi Hui Hui focused on speed. Her Gundam couldn't bear a heavy load, but it was faster and had a strong jumping ability. Just like Wang Zhong's blade, she also installed a jet plug-in on the Gundam. After that, she named her Gundam Fei Xia. Blade, Peter Pan, officially completed the modification. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 20 years old. During this time, Yi Hui Hui also finished modifying the 4 heavy-type robots. 2 Gundams, 4 heavy-type robots, 1 MCV, and the Terminator. This was all that she had to bring with her on this trip. What she needed to find now was the snake head. There were all kinds of people in the bar. After so many years, Wang Zhong was naturally familiar with some stowaways. There were a lot of stowaways, and one of them was called the Dinosaur Brave Team, which caught Wang Zhong's eye. The success rate of this team was very high, and the team had a simple cargo airship that could accommodate 2 armored vehicles. The leader of this group was called Magari, a dark-skinned guy. Wang Zhong had drunk with him a few times, and he was a good person. After hearing that Wang Zhong was going to the Qinghe Valley, Magari offered a price, and Wang Zhong readily agreed. 3 months later, Wang Zhong drove the transport vehicle to the garbage dump. After a few turns, Magari led Wang Zhong to a cargo airship. This is my baby. I call her Lucky Goddess. Magari was excited when he talked about his cargo airship. Obviously, this was his baby. After discussion, Wang Zhong paid half of the money in advance, and when he called, Magari would drive the airship to pick them up. The airship was very large, and this was Wang Zhong's first time in an airship. There were dozens of crew members inside. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui stayed in the transport cabin at the rear of the airship, sitting in their own transport vehicle. Behind the vehicle were 2 Gundams, 4 heavy-type robots, and the Terminator. The airship is taking off, sit tight. Magari's voice resounded through the interior of the airship. Whoosh! The airship slowly rose and then turned into a stream of light. The journey was long, but the airship's speed was fast. It took more than an hour for the airship to reach the destination. After many years without human presence, the place outside the slave community had become an ancient forest. But because of radiation and poisonous gas, the original animals in the forest had mutated, so it was very dangerous. Mr. Bai, good luck. After disembarking from the airship, McGarley said goodbye and left. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui sat in the Gundam and looked around. The surrounding trees were tall, and the environment was beautiful. However, according to the air test inside the Gundam, there was a deadly paralyzing toxin in the air. If a human smelled it, their nerves would be paralyzed immediately, and they would not be able to move. Let's go. Wang Zhong nodded to Yi Hui Hui and controlled the Gundam to walk toward the river in the Qinghe Valley. According to historical records, a space carrier and dozens of battleships had fallen here. The mechanical squad walked in the forest, surrounded by rare birds and beasts. They would attack the mechanical squad from time to time, but Wang Zhong dealt with them safely. Finally, they came to the river. Let's go. Wang Zhong nodded to Yi Hui Hui. Yi Hui Hui gestured and controlled the Gundam to jump down. Chapter 7:18. As the cutting-edge high-tech product on this planet, the Gundam was naturally waterproof. After Wang Zhong jumped into the water with Yi Hui Hui, the intelligent panel in front of him immediately displayed the data in the water. What surprised Wang Zhong was that the water in this area was very clean. However, there were giant snakes and crocodiles in the water. One of the giant snakes bit him. Fortunately, Wang Zhong threw out his alloy knife and stabbed the giant snake. The giant snake shook off Wang Zhong in pain and turned to run away. These giant snakes were obviously intelligent. They sensed that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with and ran away. It's a pity about this environment. If there were no such terrifying creatures, it would be nice to live here. Wang Zhong lamented. At the bottom of the lake, Yi Hui Hui had already controlled the Gundam to stand in front of a huge battleship. This battleship was the largest one scanned by the radar. It should be a space carrier and was hundreds of meters long. Although thousands of years had passed, the surface of the battleship still had a metallic luster. This meant that the metal used to make the battleship was not ordinary metal. The material was very good. Wang Zhong finally reached the bottom of the lake. He stepped on the muddy ground and slowly walked to the battleship's cabin door. Sister Chi, what should I do next? Because the Apocalypse artificial intelligence system was connected to the planet's network through the satellite, Wang Zhong could contact the Apocalypse artificial intelligence system even at the bottom of the lake. However, the signal was very poor and the Apocalypse's voice was intermittent. Bye. I'll send you the information of this battleship. There's a blueprint on it. Find the cabin door according to the structure. Okay, thank you, Sister Chi. A three-dimensional image of the battleship appeared in front of Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong also sent the three-dimensional image to Yi Hui Hui and said, Yi Hui Hui, take a look. Okay. After receiving Wang Zhong's three-dimensional image, Yi Hui Hui was stunned. Bye. Where did you get the image of the battleship's interior? It's so complete. Even the specific functions of each cabin are marked. I got it from a secret channel before I came. Wang Zhong responded casually and continued, Let's start. Our destination is this cabin called Armor. All right. Arriving at the door, Yi Hui Hui took out her ion knife and began to cut open the damaged battleship door. As the hatch was cut open, water poured into the warship. After Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui entered the battleship, they fixed the hatch back and arranged for two heavy armored robots to weld the hatch back to prevent water from entering the cabin again. Thousands of years had passed, but the interior of the battleship was still very new. There wasn't even a speck of dust. The two of them walked in the interior of the battleship and were curious about everything. This was the battleship of the past. Even after so long, it still looked brand new. What kind of country was able to create such a huge monster? Wang Zhong couldn't help but yearn for the past. At that time, the people of this country must have been very happy. When Yi Hui Hui was leaving, she felt strange. The feeling that Wang Zhong gave her was that he was smart at first, but now, she felt that she could not see through him. It was as if Wang Zhong was omnipotent. He actually knew the internal structure of the battleship. This was simply unbelievable. What kind of background does this guy have? Yi Hui Hui was puzzled. At this moment, she felt that Wang Zhong seemed to be able to succeed and become an alien in the universe above her head. When they came to the armored hatch, it was not damaged at all. After detecting that there were no dangerous factors such as poisonous gas, Wang Zhong walked out of the armor and came to the door. With Apocalypse's connection, the battleship automatically opened the door and let Wang Zhong in. Bye. I have connected to this battleship. There is still some energy inside. The main weapon and the cockpit are damaged, but this armored hatch is still intact. You can unlock the Krypton metal armor. Apocalypse's words made Wang Zhong overjoyed. He carried the Krypton metal armor into the hatch and saw some single-person armor installation rooms lying around. These small installation rooms were used to unlock the armor. After entering these small rooms, the armor would be unlocked and decomposed. From then on, the Krypton metal armor would automatically recognize its owner. It would also be very convenient to carry in the future. The Krypton metal armor was the most flexible external armor here. Following Apocalypse's instructions, Wang Zhong entered the installation room. A mechanical voice came from inside. Detected Krypton metal armor. Unlock. Yes. Wang Zhong said calmly. Battlesuit unlocking. Yi Hui was bored outside at this time. Because she had nothing to do, she went to the armory from time to time and found many weapons that she had never seen before. These weapons did not seem to be used on land, but in the universe. Unfortunately, the lifespan of the weapons here was not as long as that of the battleship. The energy blocks of these weapons had long been used up. I wonder what Abai's Krypton metal armor will be like. Yi Hui was a little envious. If this armor was given to her, it would not be difficult to get first place in the Mechanical Gladiator tournament. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Hui walked through every cabin and found several wreckage that had been reduced to bones. At this time, she heard footsteps behind her. Wang Zhong slowly walked out of the door of the armored cabin. He was not wearing any armor, which made Yi Hui feel strange. She controlled the Gundam and walked over. Abai, where's your Krypton metal armor? Wang Zhong looked at the square tattoo on his palm and said, It fused with me. Fused? Yi Hui wanted to ask more, but Wang Zhong obviously did not want to say anything. After returning to the Gundam, he was ready to leave. After leaving, Wang Zhong did not go back immediately. Instead, he controlled the Gundam to wander around. On one hand, he wanted to understand what this world was like. On the other hand, he wanted to practice his control of the Gundam. Late at night, Yi Hui was warming a fire at the entrance of a cave, preparing to boil some water to drink. Wang Zhong came alone under a big tree, looked at the square tattoo on his palm, and whispered, Armor possession. Suddenly, metal flowed all over his body like water. In just 2 seconds, Wang Zhong's whole body was wrapped in metal armor. His body was bigger than before, but it did not affect his speed. Instead, Wang Zhong felt that he was now faster. Ion blade, Wang Zhong whispered, and a blade that was glowing with a green light appeared in his hand. Kill. Wang Zhong fought alone in the forest. His smooth movements made Wang Zhong feel more and more comfortable. He felt that he did not even need to familiarize himself with controlling the Krypton metal armor. He just needed to follow his instinct. Although the armor was strong, there was a disadvantage, which was that it consumed a lot of energy. There was a protruding part at the wrist of the armor where the crystal block was installed. A crystal block was worth tens of thousands of energy points. It could be used for several hours. One could imagine how ridiculous the price was. In the following days, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui explored the forest during the day, and Wang Zhong familiarized himself with the Krypton metal armor at night. 3 months later, Wang Zhong contacted McGarry. 1 day later, McGarry drove his airship to pick up Wang Zhong. The two left this unforgettable place. In fact, it was not bad to live in such a place. Inside the airship, Yi Hui looked at the beautiful scenery outside the window and sighed. Yes, it's aloof from worldly affairs and carefree. Actually, we can build a small house there. What do you think? Yi Hui said expectantly. At this moment, she probably did not expect that the Yi sisters, who used to be all-powerful, would say such a thing. Wang Zhong looked at Yi Hui in surprise and shook his head. My goal is the universe. The next step was to pick up his mother, take care of his affairs, and then participate in the competition. The airship slowly landed. However, to Wang Zhong's surprise, the airship was surrounded by dozens of robots. Leading them was McGarry and the bald guy. Bald guy. Yi Hui saw them and was so anxious that her eyes turned red. Because it was this person who caused her to be in such a miserable state. This bald guy was called Chen Wei. As a snake, he and McGarry both knew each other. Not long ago, McGarry talked about Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui. He also complained that Wang Zhong was a tycoon for spending so many energy points on a trip. The speaker was not paying attention, but the listener was paying attention. Chen Wei was tempted. He knew that Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui were from the slave community. Chen Wei had always looked down on the people there. Therefore, he immediately suggested to McGarry to kidnap them this time. McGarry was not very willing at first because Wang Zhong had 2 Gundams and several heavy armored robots. He could not afford to offend them. However, Chen Wei promised that he could get more than 20 robots to deal with them. Therefore, McGarry agreed. Yi Hui Hui, I didn't expect you to find someone powerful. However, this is useless. If you're smart, hand over all your energy points. As Chen Wei spoke, the robots behind him surrounded them. Yi Hui Hui frowned. They were not in the Gundams now. It was impossible to rely on these 4 heavy robots. Moreover, the heavy robots had almost exhausted their energy when they were outside. At this moment, they could barely walk. How could they fight these robots? These bastards! Yi Hui Hui gritted her teeth and looked at Wang Zhong. To her surprise, Wang Zhong's expression was very calm. He just looked at McGarry calmly and said, "McGarry, I trusted you so much. You've really disappointed me. I gave you so many energy points. Are you still not satisfied?" To be honest, this was the first time McGarry betrayed a customer. Therefore, his expression was a little ugly. However, he quickly took a deep breath and said, "Cut the crap. Leave your energy points and robots and scram." Wang Zhong scanned his surroundings. The other party had 20 robots and over 30 hooligans. Wang Zhong clenched his fists and smiled. Today was the first day of his Krypton metal battlesuit. Chapter 719. Hey, what are you laughing at? Chen Wei was very dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's sudden laughter, and killing intent surged in his eyes. Steel City's punishment for murder was very severe, and they would be shot if they were caught. But they had to be caught first. In fact, most of the murders in Steel City were left unsolved. Because for the people at the top, it didn't matter how many people at the bottom died. What they valued was energy points and the power in their hands. Wang Zhong suddenly raised his head, and a liquid-like metal armor appeared on the surface of his body. He rushed in front of Chen Wei and punched him in the head. It was so fast that no one could react. A few minutes later, with Wang Zhong's speed, the dozens of people on the other side were all dealt with. As for their robots, they were also beaten into a pile of scrap metal by Wang Zhong and thrown to the ground. Originally, Wang Zhong had asked Apocalypse whether it could use the virus to control these robots for its own use. Unfortunately, Apocalypse said that it couldn't. It was very simple. Every robot had a security mechanism, and the virus couldn't easily invade it. Even if it did, its existence would definitely be discovered by the alien supercomputer. If it was discovered, it would probably be erased by the supercomputer. Therefore, it didn't dare and couldn't do it. After ordering the 4 heavy-duty robots to deal with the corpses, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui left the place. Returning to the bar that he hadn't visited for a long time, it was the same as before. The bar's business was good, and the staff were very responsible, which made Wang Zhong feel relieved. In the evening, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui brought up the matter of picking up her sister and his mother. Yi Hui Hui was naturally very excited, patting her chest and saying that they should start preparing. "Okay, let's start preparing. This time, contact a more reliable snakehead." After Wang Zhong finished speaking, he still felt that it wasn't very reliable. These days, no one could be trusted except for oneself. So he made a decision to do this himself. He still had to contact the snakehead, but he only needed to know a bit of the route. Wang Zhong had been preparing for this for 2 years. After all, this was a very big matter. Not only did he have to recruit people, but he also had to contact the snakehead with the airship, arrange the route, and secretly contact Fatty Yi in the slave community. There was too much work. On this day, Du Meili cooked a bowl of synthetic meat soup and a bowl of vegetable porridge. She ate quietly by herself. Her son, Bai, had left this place for a few years. Recently, she had often dreamed of her husband, Ran, and her eldest son, He. Ran was still the same as before. He would grumble whenever he saw her, saying that they should save some energy at home and that their youngest son had not bought a metal house yet. If they could not buy a metal house, he would not be able to marry a wife. However, he couldn't skimp on food. If a man was thin, no one would want him to work in the mines. In the dream, Du Mei comforted Ren. Don't worry, your son is very capable. Now, he has gone to Steel City and has become a superior person. In the dream, the husband and wife talked to each other, but when they woke up, Du Mei couldn't help but cry. It was not a good feeling to be alone. Moreover, her old illness had resurfaced in the past few years. Her body was getting worse and worse, and she felt that she wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Maybe, I can't wait until the day my son comes over. Du Mei took a sip of the broth and sighed. She felt that this was good. Her son came down to pick her up. She heard that this was considered illegal immigration, which was very dangerous. Therefore, she still felt that Wang Zhong should not come down. It was too dangerous. It was already dark outside. Du Mei lit a candle in the house. Just as she was about to eat and go back to her room to rest early, there was a knock on the door. Du Mei was stunned. She was too familiar with this knock. Every time Wang Zhong knocked on the door, he would knock 3 times. Then, he would stop and knock 3 more times. Son, it was her son who had returned. Du Mei impatiently ran to open the door. Mom. The person at the door was naturally Wang Zhong. He had smuggled himself over. Son. Du Mei directly cried. After returning home, Wang Zhong stayed at home during the day and went out at night to the mine to find the Yi sisters. Now, the Yi sisters looked at Wang Zhong with a complicated gaze, especially Fatty Yi. Several times, he said to his sister, "No wonder after you left, Bai also disappeared. It turns out that he followed you." Afterward, the 2 sisters also felt some lingering fear. Fortunately, Wang Zhong had gone with them. Otherwise, Yi Hui would have died in Steel City. Even if she did not die, she would probably be hiding in some corner at death's door. After discussing with the 2 sisters, the 3 of them decided that 7 days later, they would pretend to be rebels and launch an attack. However, what shocked Wang Zhong was that his mother was unwilling to go to Steel City. Son, I'm already very happy to see you living such a good life. In the past, I also wanted to go to Steel City, but as I get older, I'm getting more and more unaccustomed to other places. This is the place where your father and I struggled. Your father and I barely managed to buy this house when your brother was 5 years old. I don't want this house to be deserted after I leave. Mom, but the environment here. Before Wang Zhong could finish, Du Mei smiled and said, "Although the environment here is not as good as Steel City, I'm used to it. I have a good relationship with the neighbors. It's really useless for me to go up." Mom. Wang Zhong did not know what to say at this moment. He came down this time to bring his mother up, but he did not expect her to be unwilling. Although Wang Zhong tried his best to persuade her, Du Mei was indeed unwilling to go up. Wang Zhong had no choice but to agree. "Bai, don't come back to see me in the future. It's too dangerous. I'm already very happy to see you living such a good life." Wang Zhong nodded slightly. On the surface, he agreed, but in fact, he still wanted to visit his mother when he was free. Wang Zhong could actually understand his mother's thoughts. It was like a leaf returning to its roots when one was old. The plan began to be carried out. Snakehead subordinates, pretending to be rebels, occupied a mineral vein and attracted the Decurian's army to attack. As for Fatty Yi, he was already hiding in a large barrel. The plan was carried out smoothly. Fatty Yi, Wang Zhong, and Yi Hui safely arrived at Steel City. This world is actually like this. Fatty Yi felt very disappointed because the garbage dump was too big. The environment was similar to the garbage sinkhole next to the slave community. This was completely different from what he had imagined. This is too bad. The legendary place where upper-class people live is actually so bad. Sister, this is Steel City's garbage dump. Let's go to our Bai's bar. The environment there is very good. Yi Hui walked over and said, Okay. Fatty Yi nodded. She was somewhat regretful. If she had known that this place was so bad, she would have stayed in the slave community peacefully. Although there was no entertainment there, at least she was second only to one person and above tens of thousands. There were so many slaves under her who listened to her orders. Now, her business was handed over to her second-in-command. If she did not go back for 3 to 5 years, there would be no one to clean up the mess. After hanging around in Steel City for more than a month, Fatty Yi really did not like it here and finally proposed to return to the slave community. Although the slave community was monotonous, at least there were many pretty boys who could play with her. It was much more fun than Steel City. Knowing that her sister wanted to go back, Yi Hui had no choice but to express her support. Fortunately, it was very convenient to return from Steel City. One only needed to take an airship to land outside the slave community's walls and then climb over the wall to enter the slave community. This was a matter for the Yi sisters, so Wang Zhong did not worry too much about it. Now, he was wholeheartedly researching how to win the gladiator tournament. Wang Zhong did not participate in the tournament at first. Instead, he bought 2 mechanic teams and invited 2 people to participate first. Of these 2 people, one was a strength-type player who used a control Gundam to participate. This person's Gundam was named Tomahawk. His first opponent was also a strength-type opponent named Tank. Tomahawk's body was even larger, and its lethal weapon was the Nebula Chain. When the chain was thrown out, wheels would appear on Tomahawk's body and it would run on the ground. Once the enemy was locked, they could only be dragged by Tomahawk until they were dragged to death. There were also many other tricks. For example, the weapon was Tomahawk. The ultimate weapon was Tomahawk. However, the Tomahawk could only be used once. Tank's Gundam's attack method was Tank Sprint. This Gundam had thick skin and was very sturdy. Tank had once participated in a gladiator tournament. As soon as he made his move, he smashed a Gundam into pieces. The operator inside vomited blood from the impact. As the battle bell rang, a host with mechanical legs and a bold and beautiful body stood up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our mechanical gladiator night again. Tonight, let's welcome our first challenger. He is the charming, strong, and has great destructive power. Tomahawk. He will duel with yesterday's champion, Tank. As we all know, tanks are best at sprinting. They have immense strength and a sturdy structure. They belong to the category of players with super strong defense. Unfortunately, our challenger today is also a Gundam with a strong defense. No one knows who will emerge victorious. Let's wait and see. Let's welcome Tomahawk. In the audience, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui looked down at the Gundam and Tomahawk slowly walking out from among the contestants. This was the first contestant they had sent out. According to the calculations of Apocalypse, the probability of Tomahawk winning against Tank was more than 80%. This was a very high probability of winning, so Wang Zhong was very assured. For this reason, he bet all his money on Tomahawk winning. You're crazy, Abai. You're really crazy. You bet everything on Tomahawk winning. What if he loses? Then you'll go bankrupt. Yi Hui shook her head. She really didn't understand why Wang Zhong did this. It was too risky. Although she was confident in Tomahawk's strength, the tank opposite her was not weak either. After all, the tank had a record of 3 consecutive victories. Chapter 720. Facing the worried Yi Hui, Wang Zhong was very relieved. He said calmly, "Don't worry. Even if you lose, there's still your sister. She has a lot of energy points. That's still her. Even if she gives it to me, why should she give it to you?" Yi Hui was very dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's words. Wang Zhong smiled and said, "Don't forget that I saved your life. What's wrong now? Are you ungrateful now?" I'm still working for you. I didn't even ask for my salary. Yi Hui Hui was speechless. Alright, let's make a bet later. If I win, you have to obey whatever I say in the future. How about that? I'm not going to bet with you. Yi Hui Hui was not stupid. Every time Wang Zhong showed such a cunning look, it meant that he was planning something. This guy must have the confidence to win. Sure enough, as the battle between the tank and the tomahawk began, the tank's charge was useless. Because the tomahawk's legs were equipped with roller skates, every time the tank charged, the tomahawk could always dodge it. This made the driver of the tank angry and helpless at the same time. The driver of the tomahawk was also an experienced driver. He was hired by Wang Zhong with a lot of money. Just after the tank charged, the Tomahawk Gundam retreated and swung its right hand. The nebula chain firmly grabbed the Gundam's leg. With a fierce pull, the Gundam's huge body was dragged to the ground. Rumble! The huge Gundam fell to the ground, stirring up dust that covered the entire arena. After the successful attack, the Tomahawk immediately sped up and dragged the huge body of the Gundam out. Bang! Bang! Rumble! The Gundam was thrown to the wall and the ground, making a deafening sound. This was a real steel duel. As the Gundam was caught by the nebula chain, there was no suspense about the outcome of the battle. In the end, the Gundam's leg was torn off, and the driver inside had no choice but to admit defeat. As expected, we won. Yi Hui Hui heaved a sigh of relief. She was very happy because this was the Gundam that she had personally modified. She had contributed to this victory. Very good. I've earned a lot this time. Wang Zhong chuckled. After that, Tomahawk participated in several battles, winning and losing. Although the smart computer Apocalypse was able to analyze the outcome of every battle with the Tomahawk, this was still based on the data of the machine itself. Sometimes, the driver's luck played a large role. Therefore, there were victories and defeats in the battles. After half a year of competition, Wang Zhong felt that it was about time. He made the decision to enter the arena himself. In order to ensure victory, he used battle suits to coordinate with the Gundam's battle. In other words, if Dao Feng's Gundam was defeated, he could immediately jump out of the Gundam and continue fighting. He wasn't the only one who came up with this method. Many people had already used this method, and the organizers didn't say that this method was against the rules. Blade was an all-purpose Gundam. Its defense and speed were not bad. This time, Yi Hui Hui's intention was to increase the moves and power of her blade attacks. Originally, Blade only had the ion blade and the alloy blade as his combat methods were too monotonous. Hence, Yi Hui Hui modified the nebula chain to Blade's body. She even added a battle axe weapon, the battle axe throwing dagger. This was a disposable dart, but if thrown out suddenly, it could instantly finish off the opponent. This kind of modification required a lot of energy points. Wang Zhong felt that he was lacking more and more energy points. Therefore, when he went to the slave community to visit his mother, Wang Zhong looked for Fatty Yi, hoping to ask for support from energy points. Big Sister Yi, with the power of my Krypton metal battlesuit and your sister's modification skills, I will definitely win when the time comes. At that time, not only will I become an alien, but I will also have a huge bonus. I hope you can support me with energy points. When I win, my bar will be handed over to Yi Hui Hui to manage. I won't treat you badly. Fatty Ye's brain wasn't as smart as Yi Hui Hui's, but she had a characteristic. She was very stingy. This female fatty, other than being generous to her sister, was extremely stingy to everyone else. Hence, Wang Zhong decided to give her these benefits. Unfortunately, Fatty Yi didn't care about these things. She shook her head and said, "Abai, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's just that your plan is too dangerous. You have to know that for so many years, those who can win 20 consecutive rounds in the Mechanical Coliseum are few and far between. Most people died there. I also want to help you, but this investment is too big. When you die there, where will we go to collect the money?" Fatty Ye's meaning was very clear. She felt that Wang Zhong's plan had a high probability of failure, so she wasn't willing to invest. Yi Hui Hui, who was at the side, spoke up for Wang Zhong and said, Sister, just help Abai. Wang Zhong looked at Yi Hui Hui in surprise. He didn't expect this woman to speak up for him. In the past, every time Wang Zhong said to her that he hoped Fatty Yi would support him with energy points, Yi Hui Hui always ridiculed and disagreed. But now, he didn't expect her to speak up for him. Sure enough, her mouth said no, but her body was still very honest. My good sister, you are actually speaking up for an outsider now. Fatty Yi snorted in dissatisfaction. Yi Hui Hui lowered her head in embarrassment and said weakly, After all, he saved me. Fatty Yi said to Wang Zhong clearly, I know you saved my sister, but so what? Speaking of which, these years, your mother also encountered a lot of trouble in the slave community. Didn't I help her solve it all? In this way, it's an eye for an eye, and we are even. Fatty Yi was indeed an extremely hard-hearted woman. When it came to benefits, there was no possibility of compromise with Wang Zhong. Sister. Yi Hui Hui was almost pleading. Wang Zhong sighed and prepared to leave here and think of a way. Unexpectedly, Fatty Yi suddenly changed the topic. But, it's not impossible to give you energy points. Oh. Wang Zhong's eyes lit up. Fatty Yi said, Bai, it's not that I don't want to support you. I know your character, and it's not bad. But after all, there is such a large amount of energy points to support you. Let me ask you, if it were you, what would you do? After all, we are not relatives, right? But if we are a family, then I can consider it. Sister, you want to marry Bai? Yi Hui Hui was shocked. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. If that was really the case, he would definitely not agree to it. There was no other way. Fatty Yi was famous for toying with those pretty boys. Why would he marry her? Fortunately, Fatty Yi shook his head and denied it. Sister, what are you thinking? Didn't I tell you before? Marriage is too boring for me. I still want to sleep with some young people. Then big sister, you mean, Fatty Yi said to Wang Zhong seriously, Little Bai, you and my sister have been together for so many years. Don't you like her at all? These words were so direct that Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui were stunned. To be honest, Wang Zhong really did not think that way. In his impression, Yi Hui Hui was a sinister and cunning person. This was not the same as his view of a spouse. Besides, his goal was to become an alien and lead the entire Steel City and the slave community. Therefore, he had never thought about marriage. Yi Hui Hui was even more speechless. She quickly frowned and said, Sister, what are you talking about? Sister, you are not young anymore. You and Bai have been together for so long. The two of you have already had an affair, right? What? When did I? Don't try to fool me. I know. Fatty Yi looked as if he had seen through everything. He sighed and said, Little sister, I must give you a status. Bai, you and my sister are now well matched in terms of social status. My sister is also willing to follow you. This shows that she is still interested in you. If you become a family, then you will be my brother-in-law. Whatever you want to do, I will fully support you. What do you say? Wang Zhong was shocked. It turned out that this was Fatty Ye's method. Subconsciously, he glanced to the side at Yi Hui Hui, who had an uneasy look. Sensing that Wang Zhong had looked at her, Yi Hui Hui acted as if she had been electrocuted. She quickly pretended to look at the corner of the wall and studied the dust there. This was the first time he had seen Yi Hui Hui embarrassed. Wang Zhong felt that it was somewhat funny. In fact, after getting familiar with Yi Hui Hui, Wang Zhong also discovered that Yi Hui Hui might be ruthless and merciless to outsiders, but after getting familiar with her, she also had a gentle side. For example, she would not casually use a knife to talk to you. She would use her fists to reason with you. Another example was that she would not casually threaten you in a sarcastic manner. Instead, she would directly threaten you. After all, her personality was not that bad. At least there was room for improvement. How is it? Fatty Yi smiled. He had absolute confidence in his sister's appearance. He continued to strike while the iron was hot. Bai, I actually know what you're worried about. It's nothing more than some of the things my sister did in the past that made you feel a little uncomfortable. But you have to understand that this world is a cannibalistic society. If my sister was like those gentle girls described in the books, I'm afraid she would have been eaten up long ago. She did this to protect herself. Do you understand? Fatty Yi was actually telling the truth. Of course, Wang Zhong understood. Sister, please don't talk so much. Before Yi Hui could finish, Fatty Yi interrupted her again. Sister, I know you're very smart. I used to listen to you on other things, but you have to listen to me on this matter. I don't want you to regret it in the future. Do you understand? Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. From what he heard, Fatty Yi could tell that Yi Hui liked him. After a moment of silence, Wang Zhong slowly nodded. Actually, Yi Hui is a good girl. But Fatty Yi frowned. He slammed the table and shouted, Kid, don't be so shameless. But what? Do you dislike my sister? Let me tell you, it's your fortune to be able to marry my sister. Don't King ask for a beating. Sister. Yi Hui quickly pulled Fatty Yi back. Chapter 721. Sister. Seeing that Fatty Yi was so angry that he was about to make a move, Yi Hui hurriedly pulled her sister back. Forget it, forget it. Yi Hui's eyes were red. She was almost holding back her tears and trying not to speak. Forget it, Fatty Yi, don't have the word, forget it, in my dictionary. Wang Zhong frowned and said, Calm down first, I haven't finished speaking. Okay, I'll let you finish. What else do you want to say? Wang Zhong said helplessly, What I mean is, Yi Hui is a good girl, but have you thought about it? I want to participate in the gladiator tournament, which is very dangerous and very likely to die. If Yi Hui marries me and I die, won't she be a widow? Moreover, even if I win and become an alien, what about her? According to his previous understanding, after becoming an alien, this person would no longer stay in Steel City, but would go to live in the space carrier. So far, he had not heard of an example of an alien bringing their family members up. Sure enough, after hearing Wang Zhong's words, the Yi sisters were silent. So, your concern is this? Sure enough, I didn't misjudge you. You are more thoughtful and a person worth entrusting. Fatty Yi sighed. Wang Zhong. Hui, what do you think? Wang Zhong looked at Yi Hui. Yi Hui lowered her head and said, Now, except for you, everyone is afraid of me. I can't get married. This is very clear, I won't marry anyone but you. Wang Zhong was very helpless. He didn't expect the final result to be like this. Fatty Yi nodded and said, Bai, what do you think? What else could Wang Zhong say? He could only hold Yi Hui's small hand in passing. Yi Hui struggled symbolically for a moment, then obediently stopped moving. Okay, we'll attend the wedding banquet tomorrow. So fast. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui spoke in unison, quite surprised. Look at you two, you look quite like husband and wife. You're talking together. Fatty Yi said with a smile. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui looked at each other. Yi Hui lowered her head in embarrassment. Wang Zhong, on the other hand, was quite helpless. He secretly made up his mind to strive to become an alien as soon as possible. At that time, he would be able to control Steel City and the slave community. He might even be able to travel back and forth between these two places. In addition, the most important point is, what kind of existence is an alien? Where is the home of the aliens? Do all the aliens belong to the same country? After thinking about it, Wang Zhong felt that this was unlikely. Aliens are also humans, living humans. Since they are humans, they have desires, power, and money. The boundless universe is so big that it is impossible for all the aliens to belong to the same country. Then there is only one possibility, the alien controlling their planet should belong to a certain country. The next day, Fatty Yi sent someone to invite his mother, Du Meili. Du Mei liked Yi Hui Hui very much. She couldn't stop talking to Yi Hui Hui. Not many people were invited, just a few who were usually loyal to Du Mei. That night, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui were officially together. 10 days later, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui Hui returned to Steel City. Although the two were newlyweds, they quickly threw themselves into the battle of the Mechanical Gladiator Tournament. Wang Zhong first signed up for the 1v1 battle. Because according to the rules, only by winning 5 matches in the 1v1 battle would one have the opportunity to participate in the group battle. Only by winning 20 matches in a row in the group battle could one become an honorable alien. Wang Zhong's first opponent was the Monitor Lizard. That's right, this was not a robot, but a robot that imitated a lizard. A huge hammer was hanging from the tail of the Monitor Lizard. After swinging it, it had a very strong destructive power. This was Wang Zhong's first opponent. However, Wang Zhong didn't take this opponent seriously because it was too weak. There were many spectators in the arena. Most of them thought that Wang Zhong would win. After all, several of Wang Zhong's robot models had become famous these days. Many commentators gave high praise to Wang Zhong's blade. The battle was about to begin. Just as Qidian's smart computer had analyzed, the moment the battle began, the Monitor Lizard swung its hammer. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A huge force collided head-on. Wang Zhong retreated, pulled out his alloy knife, and circled around the back of the Monitor Lizard. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The huge hammer nimbly smashed toward him again. Wang Zhong aimed at the tail of the Monitor Lizard and swung his battle axe. The spectators below exclaimed. A commentator exclaimed, "I didn't expect Blade to use his trump card in his first move. Isn't he afraid of running out of tricks? Yeah, and his battle axe is actually swinging towards the tail of the Monitor Lizard. Does he want the Monitor Lizard to lose its hammer as an attack weapon?" Another commentator exclaimed. "That must be it. Blade's pilot is indeed shrewd." The Monitor Lizard hurriedly retracted its tail, wanting to avoid the battle axe. However, Wang Zhong moved at that moment. Blade's Gundam moved quickly in front of the Monitor Lizard. It was the first time the two of them were so close. Oh my god, so that's Blade's goal. He swung his battle axe not to attack the opponent's tail, but to get closer. So that's his goal. However, this tactic is undoubtedly the most effective. As everyone knows, the Monitor Lizard's strongest point is its hammer. Every robot that is attacked by the hammer will receive a heavy blow. Therefore, the best tactic is to get closer to the Monitor Lizard. While the two commentators were talking, the Monitor Lizard unexpectedly opened its huge mouth. The Monitor Lizard's mouth was filled with jagged steel teeth. What was surprising was that these steel teeth were like electric chainsaws, and they actually began to rotate. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Monitor Lizard's huge mouth bit towards the blade that Wang Zhong was controlling. At this moment, the alloy blade in Wang Zhong's hand stabbed down. KSK. With just one attack, the interior of the Monitor Lizard was stirred up. Then, there was a burst of fire. The Monitor Lizard was completely motionless. Too strong. So that's Blade's strategy. Yes, the Monitor Lizard's armor is very strong, but the inside of its mouth is its weakest point. The Monitor Lizard exposed its weakest point. Awesome, this is too awesome. After this battle, everyone knew about Blade's potential. Now, every time Wang Zhong went up, there were many people who bet on Wang Zhong's victory. After winning one battle after another, Wang Zhong finally met a strong opponent in the 5th battle. Robot Giant Cannon. This person was half human and half robot. His original body was a 2-meter-tall muscular man. He had modified his limbs into robots and possessed unparalleled destructive power. Compared to Wang Zhong's blade, everyone now favored Giant Cannon to win. Why did they say so? Because Giant Cannon was a product of the Robot Research Institute. This was one of the top 3 companies in Steel City. It was a large enterprise, and the robots it produced were all extremely powerful. Moreover, Giant Cannon was the same as Wang Zhong. He was a powerhouse who had won 4 battles in a row. His attack method was to shoot out giant swords from the mouth of the giant cannon on his right arm. They possessed extremely strong destructive power. Wang Zhong had calculated before the battle. There were a total of 20 swords in giant cannon's arsenal. In other words, his giant swords had the ability to attack 20 times. As long as he was hit once, there was no doubt that it would cause him great damage. Bai, this giant cannon is not easy to deal with. How are you going to deal with him? After receiving information on giant cannon, Yi Hui was very worried. Wang Zhong focused on the information in front of him. He discovered a problem. Giant cannon's giant swords were indeed very powerful, but their attacks were too simple. As long as he could get close to him and tie his arms with a nebula chain, he would be able to stop him from aiming. Thinking of this method, Wang Zhong was so excited that he could hardly sleep. Over the next few days, Wang Zhong trained in using the nebula chain to attack. The results were pretty good. He beat the Gundams in his team until they could not even raise their heads. Finally, the day of the battle had arrived. The commentators passionately introduced the situation of blades and cannons. According to these commentators, they had always felt that giant cannon had great potential. They even said that giant cannon's 20 swords had unparalleled power. No one could withstand them. That's right. The 20 swords were indeed very powerful, so many people bet on giant cannon to win. However, there were still many people who wanted to bet on giant cannon. The more people bet on bladed, the more people wanted to bet on bladed. Wang Zhong had Yi Hui take out all her energy points and bet on him to win. This time, I'm going to make a killing. Wang Zhong stood on the battle platform, looked at giant cannon in front of him, and launched an attack. Giant cannon's body size was actually much smaller than Wang Zhong's bladed. His arms had been modified into the style of a Gatling gun. There were black holes at the front that could shoot out swords. In this place where firearms could not be used, the attack power of a sword with such long-range attack ability was indeed very powerful. In order to become an alien, I changed my body. The current me is invincible. Giant Cannon said coldly. He raised his right arm and aimed at Wang Zhong. My sword's firing speed is about the same as a bullet. No matter how fast you are, you can't stop me. Is that so? Wang Zhong tilted his head. Then, give it a try. Before Giant Cannon could speak, the nebula chain was thrown out. Walala, walala. The chain accurately wrapped around Giant Cannon's arms. Giant Cannon. He wanted to shout a few more words, but he did not expect to be directly restrained. For a moment, he was drenched in cold sweat. The commentators also saw that something was wrong. Not good. All of Giant Cannon's attacks rely on the sword shot out by the two-handed Giant Cannon. Now that his hands are restrained, the sword can't be aimed. Oh my god, so this is what Bladed thought of. Bladed's control of battle tactics has reached an extremely shocking level. It's really scary. Compared to the shoutcaster's shock, the audience was screaming and yelling. Giant Cannon, come on. I'm King betting on you to win. You can't lose. Almost all of the people who were shouting were betting on Giant Cannon to win. Unfortunately, no matter how loudly they shouted, they could not change the outcome of the battle. After Giant Cannon's hands were restrained, he could not attack at all. Wang Zhong took advantage of the situation and slashed down with his alloy sword. Chi! Giant Cannon's hands were cut off. Chapter 722. Giant Pao lost. As Giant Pao's hands were neatly cut off by the alloy knife, everyone knew that Giant Pao was done for. Moreover, Giant Pao's weakness was exploited by Wang Zhong. It was conceivable that Giant Pao would no longer be valued in the future. A robot whose weakness was known by everyone had lost its value. In this battle, Wang Zhong's blade was completely known by everyone. As for him, who had won 5 battles, he was about to face a team battle. A team battle referred to 20 Gundams or robots fighting at the same time. They could cooperate with others or fight alone. However, one thing was for sure. Only one person could win every battle. As long as there were two contestants left on the field, it would be useless even if they surrendered. Therefore, the mortality rate in such a place was very high. Especially if someone was your enemy and deliberately targeted you when they saw that you were not going to make it, then you could only be beaten up. Wang Zhong did not have a deep foundation here. Although he did not have any grudges with others, it was precisely because of this that he had the least allies. Many people did not like an outsider like him very much. Fortunately, Wang Zhong's strength was there for all to see. In the first battle, he faced 19 opponents. Under the commentator's explanation, Wang Zhong's ranking was only 10th among them. This ranking was considered relatively high. It should be known that in the past, other people who had just won a 1v1 battle were usually ranked at the bottom. Wang Zhong was directly ranked 10th. This was already the recognition of his strength by the commentator. When the battle began, none of the contestants on the field took Wang Zhong seriously. These people chose their own opponents to fight. A robot with a chainsaw raised a chainsaw that was larger than itself and slashed at a short robot. Chi chi chi. Sparks flew from the short robot's body. This person could not dodge in time and was directly cut in half. Roar. At this time, a Gundam that had been modified into a Tyrannosaurus Rex bit at the chainsaw robot. In an instant, the chainsaw robot was bitten. However, its defense was amazing. Even if it was bitten, it was fine. Instead, it turned the chainsaw around. The chainsaw was very sharp, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex was pierced through and fell to the ground. This was just a small scene. The bigger scene was a Gundam that was shaped like a giant. As soon as it appeared, it had already crushed 3 robots. The attack power of this Gundam called Colossus was extremely strong. It could shatter a robot with one punch and stomp it into pieces with one foot. Many robots and Gundams avoided it in fear. As a newcomer, Wang Zhong was naturally placed at the edge of the arena. The scene in front of him was too intense. Although he was confident in his blade, the first thing he had to do in a chaotic battle was to conserve his strength. Therefore, what he was doing now was to stay away from these opponents and try his best not to participate in the battle. Since someone had chosen to deal with him, he would try his best to avoid the battle. There were actually quite a few people who had this intention. However, in the later stages, they had no choice but to participate in the war. Because more and more opponents were falling, the original 20 people were reduced to 8 in the blink of an eye. The strongest was the Leviathan. He stared coldly at these people and chose to rest. No one dared to approach. The others all took their own positions and did not act rashly. At that moment, a 3-minute countdown appeared on the screen. This was the first round, which meant that if someone did not kill the robot within 3 minutes, that person would be automatically eliminated. This was a rule to prevent people from wasting time by running away. Wang Zhong had just finished off a robot, so he was not worried. However, 2 opponents on the field started to get nervous. The robot with the chainsaw twisted its body. It seemed to be very confident in its strength and suddenly charged towards Wang Zhong. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the 2 people who had not killed their opponents also moved and charged towards Wang Zhong. Such a dangerous situation did not worry Wang Zhong. He chose to face the chainsaw robot directly. Wang Zhong did not use a weapon. Instead, he used his body to send the chainsaw robot flying. This was the advantage of his Gundam, so Wang Zhong chose to do this. The 2 Gundams behind him charged towards Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong turned his head and stabbed with his alloy knife. Bang! Bang! The alloy knife chose the weak necks of the 2 Gundams. The 2 Gundams lost their ability to move and fell to the ground, unable to move. After this battle, everyone knew that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with. While the battle was going on here, other battles also started. The Leviathan made the first move. It threw a heavy punch at the Gundam beside it. Wang Zhong looked at the chainsaw robot and threw the nebula chain at it without hesitation. TSK, TSK, TSK. The chainsaw robot chose to fight with a chainsaw, but it underestimated Wang Zhong. No one expected that when the chainsaw robot blocked the nebula chain, Wang Zhong would throw his battle axe. Bam! The battle axe was thrown accurately on the chainsaw robot's head. After a few sparks, the chainsaw robot fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, only 3 of the original 8 opponents were left: Wang Zhong, the Leviathan, and a battered robot. This robot was very strong. Both of its hands were circular saws. Its attack method was to jump onto the Gundam and cut it directly. Its weakness was that it was too weak. Although it was agile, it vomited blood after being kicked by a Gundam. It had lost its ability to fight. I surrender. This robot did not dare to face an opponent like the Leviathan. It wisely retreated. To it, where there was life, there was hope. This was a smart choice. The Leviathan looked at Wang Zhong. It did not say anything and charged straight at him. This Leviathan was indeed very strong. After all, according to the introduction, this guy was a strong person who had won 10 team battles in a row. Wang Zhong did not dare to be careless. After retracting the nebula chain, he took out the ion knife. The ion knife consumed a lot of energy, but now that the battle was coming to an end, it was time to use it. Go to hell. The Leviathan roared and stomped its foot. Wang Zhong nimbly dodged and slashed the ion knife at the Leviathan's leg. Bang! Bang! The Leviathan's leg was injured and was a little limp. Damned rat! The Leviathan lowered its head and swung its fist. Wang Zhong could not dodge in time and took the hit. With this one hit, Blade's Gundam was severely damaged. Everyone on the field exclaimed, "Looks like the Leviathan is going to win." Yeah, the Leviathan is really strong. It won without any suspense. What a pity. Blade is actually very strong, but he lost. Just when everyone thought that Wang Zhong was going to lose, Blade suddenly ran to the chainsaw robot. After the robot fell, the chainsaw was still running. Wang Zhong grabbed the chainsaw in his hand, waved it around, and jumped into the air. The Leviathan was very strong. Wang Zhong would not fight it head-on. This time, he jumped onto its shoulder, which made the Leviathan go crazy. What made it even crazier was that the chainsaw cut at the Leviathan's arm. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The pilot in the Leviathan cursed, but there was nothing he could do. Blade's strong legs were tightly wrapped around the Leviathan's shoulder. There was no way he could shake it off. Soon, the Leviathan's arms were cut off, followed by its head. Bang! The Leviathan's head fell to the ground. Its eyes flashed, and it stopped moving. The Leviathan lost. This battle made the audience stand up. The commentators were so excited that they were dancing. It's been a long time since I've seen such an exciting battle. Thank you, Blade, for bringing this battle to us. It was really exciting. The host said excitedly. Wang Zhong controlled Blade to get off the stage. He was secretly amazed. As expected of the robot meat grinder team battle. This was the first time his Blade was injured, and he was injured so badly. It was conceivable that if he had not thought of taking away the chainsaw at the end, it would have been impossible for him to win with Blade. Blade's attack methods were really too difficult for him to deal with the Leviathan. If he did not have the chainsaw, he would have to use the Krypton armor in the end. However, he did not intend to make this armor public at the moment. It was very simple. The Krypton armor was of great importance. It must be known that this metal material was something that even the aliens would covet. He had no money, no power, and was only an ordinary person in Steel City. If the aliens wanted to snatch the armor, what would he do? Even if they did not snatch it, there were still 19 battles to come. If he exposed his trump card in advance, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Therefore, Wang Zhong decided that even if he had to use the Krypton armor, he would have to persist until the later stages. Tisk! Blade's chest armor opened, and Wang Zhong jumped out of Blade's body. Several people had already arrived in front of him. One of them was the Leviathan's pilot, Stantine. Sweeping their gazes over Wang Zhong, all of them were extremely unconvinced, especially the chainsaw robot. With a cold snort, it said, "Fuck, you actually dared to use my chainsaw as a weapon. Now, my chainsaw is useless." Who can you blame for your own incompetence? Stantine cursed the robot for being trash. He then looked at Wang Zhong. He's right. If it weren't for his chainsaw, you would have already lost. With your robot, you can't compete with my Leviathan. Wang Zhong shrugged and said, there's no point in saying so much. A loss is a loss, isn't it? You have guts. Stantine snorted. After waiting for the others to leave, Stantine unexpectedly walked over. What's the matter? Wang Zhong asked vigilantly. Stantine smiled and said, my boss is very interested in you. He said he wants to meet you. What's the matter? It must be something good. For example, he can help you repair your blade for free. He also said that you are quite suitable for using a chainsaw. If you like, he happens to have a chainsaw that suits you very well. Wang Zhong could tell that Stantine was trying to bribe him. This was not surprising. Every gladiator was very precious. Some large financial groups and companies would look for excellent gladiators and invite them to fight for them. Wang Zhong's excellence had attracted the attention of these people. This Stantine was here to persuade him. Chapter 723. My boss said that you can go and have a look. If you don't like it, he can even tailor it for you. There will always be one that suits you. Wang Zhong looked at Stantine and said, I don't understand, why is he so good to me? Stantine said with emotion, because you won, and my boss thinks you have potential. With that, Stantine shrugged and said, but to be honest, I think you were just lucky. Every gladiator with potential will receive attention because every victory can bring huge benefits. Some people even win 20 games in a row and become the noble aliens. When talking about aliens, Stantine's face was obviously full of yearning and excitement. Finally, he concluded, I, Stantine, will become an alien man sooner or later. Then I wish your wish come true, Wang Zhong said indifferently. Hey, you don't seem to believe in my boss' ability? It's not that I don't believe in him, but I have my own team at the moment and don't want to join others. For Wang Zhong, joining other people's team means that he will lose his freedom. You're overestimating yourself. Do you think your luck will always be there? If you don't join my boss now, you might not be able to survive the next round. I appreciate your kindness, but I really don't need it. Humph. Stantine snorted and didn't have the mood to continue talking. He turned and left. After returning to his residence, Wang Zhong asked Yi Hui to modify the blade. Because of the single attack method, Wang Zhong also made a request to install a chainsaw on the blade. The modification took a long time. Fortunately, Yi Hui had recruited a lot of teams and the modification went smoothly. During this period, many people came to Wang Zhong to propose cooperation. Wang Zhong didn't refuse all of them. Sometimes it was not good to fight alone. It was also beneficial to cooperate with others. The majority of these people were sponsors, and they were full of praise for the strength Wang Zhong had displayed. Of course, there were also many people who asked Wang Zhong to join them, but they were all rejected by Wang Zhong. Next, there were continuous matches that took more than a year. Wang Zhong's blade won 15 consecutive matches, becoming one of the few warriors to have won so many matches in a row. Many people knew that Wang Zhong's goal was to become an alien in the final 20 games. The battle was naturally very intense, especially towards the end, the more desperate it became. This was because towards the end, every opponent had fought their way through the battlefield. There was no need to mention how strong they were. The key was that they all had rich combat experience. In the 16th battle, Wang Zhong met his true opponent, a skeletal robot. This person had modified himself into the shape of a skeleton, and his speed had reached its peak. As soon as it appeared, the skeletal robot's speed was astonishing. Finally, in the 19th battle, perhaps because his opponents realized that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with, they actually began to work together to deal with him. As soon as he appeared, dozens of Gundams rushed toward Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong held the chainsaw in his hand. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, he instantly killed 2 Gundams. However, several robots took the opportunity to sneak attack him from behind. In the nick of time, Wang Zhong jumped up and out of the encirclement. Although Wang Zhong tried his best to turn the tide, he was still too weak. Blade's Gundam was getting more and more injured in the continuous battles. In the end, it could not bear the burden and its head was crushed by a Wolf-type Gundam. Victory! The remaining 4 Gundams laughed. Chi. However, at this time, the armor in front of Blade's chest suddenly opened and white smoke came out. What's going on? Is Blade's pilot, Mr. Abai, coming out? Good Lord, it's time to witness a miracle. Looking at this situation, it's just as the others guessed. Blade has a second robot inside. It must be. Otherwise, Abai wouldn't come out like this. Everyone stared at this scene with wide eyes. Then, a person in black armor slowly walked out. This armor was 1 size larger than Wang Zhong's. It was equipped with ion blade equipment, flame boosters, and small round holes. No one knew what these were for. The 19th battle, Blade only revealed his trump card after 19 battles. That's right. I wonder if Dao Feng's trump card can help him turn the tide. As a die-hard fan of Blade, I think Blade will definitely win. Blade, who can fight against Blade? Some of Blade's fans screamed. One had to know that this was the 19th battle. As long as he won this battle, Wang Zhong would face the next battle to defend his title. Once he won the battle to defend his title, Wang Zhong would officially become an alien. Endless glory and money would come one after another. Naturally, there were also many people who felt that Wang Zhong wouldn't be able to win. In their opinion, Blade was already powerful enough. If this one was even more powerful, it would be unreasonable. However, reality slapped them hard in the face. Wang Zhong only came out for a short while before he charged forward with his ion blade. Chi. After circling around the remaining 4 enemies, the 4 of them slowly fell to the ground. It was that simple. He won. Dao. Dao Feng won. The referee was so shocked that he was stuttering. Too fast. This is Blade's true trump card. Who can resist such speed? 10 seconds. I think it was over in 10 seconds. Sometimes, real men compete in speed. Everyone in Steel City knew about this battle. Many people watched the replay of Wang Zhong's new equipment, wanting to know what kind of equipment it was. Unfortunately, no one knew. Krypton metal had been missing from this world for far too long. Many people had never even heard of it, let alone talked about it. Even if some people knew about this metal, who would know that it was Krypton metal just by watching Wang Zhong's battle on TV? After returning, Wang Zhong looked at the blade that had been transported back and smiled bitterly. He had used all his trump cards in this battle. Fortunately, there was only 1 battle left. After this battle, Wang Zhong realized that he had become the idol of many people. Blade, who can fight? This slogan had become the mantra of many people. Now, if anyone dared to slander Wang Zhong, there would probably be people coming out to fight them to the death. Fortunately, the tournament's officials did not reveal Wang Zhong's personal information, so no one came to harass him. Since the blade was almost completely destroyed, Yi Hui could only start over and build a new blade. Originally, Yi Hui wanted to add a new skill to the blade, but Wang Zhong rejected this idea. There's only 1 battle left. Adding a new skill will only make me unfamiliar, so forget it. Wang Zhong shook his head. So, you want to rely on the Krypton metal combat suit? That's right. It's already exposed anyway. All right then. Yi Hui nodded obediently. She had no objections to Wang Zhong's words. Rebuilding the blade would take a lot of time, but to Wang Zhong's surprise, the tournament's officials contacted him and offered to build it for him for free. What? Build it for me for free? Wang Zhong received the call and felt that it was inconceivable. Later, the higher-ups came to meet with Wang Zhong. After their explanation, Wang Zhong realized that the tournament's intention was to befriend him. After all, this was his last battle. If he won, he would be an alien. Chapter 724. Mr. Abai, this is your last battle. You must do your best. If you win, you will become an alien. The commentator of the Robot Gladiator tournament found Wang Zhong and shook Wang Zhong's hand excitedly. Thank you, Mr. Chen Naifu. Wang Zhong replied politely. He felt a little strange. Why was Chen Naifu looking for him? Thinking of this, Wang Zhong asked directly, Mr. Chen, for you to look for me at this juncture, it shouldn't just be about this, right? Chen Naifu nodded with a heavy expression. Mr. Abai, this is your last battle. There are some things I want to remind you of. Oh, what is it? Wang Zhong felt that as the commentator of the Robot Gladiator tournament, Chen Naifu might know something very important. It's about the next battle. I need to remind you that if you win, regardless of whether you are willing or not, you will already be an alien. Mandatory. Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. Yes, this is the rule of the starship. Chen Naifu pointed to the top of his head. Sometimes, when the weather was clear at night, when he looked up, he could see a huge red light spot above his head. That light spot was where the starship was. If you win 20 battles, it means that you have to become an alien, regardless of whether you are willing or not. Wang Zhong could be considered to have witnessed the tyranny of an alien. Yes, regardless of whether you are willing or not. Chen Naifu smiled. Of course, no one can resist the temptation of becoming an alien. It is said that the medical technology of the aliens is extremely advanced. The mechanical level is also several levels higher than ours. The average life expectancy there is 200 years. 200 years. Compared to our world, the average life expectancy is only a pitiful 70 or 80 years. That's pretty good. Wang Zhong nodded in agreement. Since the aliens could travel long distances and come to this world to expand their territory, it was normal for their technological level to be higher. Right, there is one more thing. Chen Naifu smiled embarrassedly. Say it, Mr. Chen. Wang Zhong felt that Chen Naifu should have something important to tell him. Sure enough, Chen Naifu took out several pieces of paper. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters. They are your idols. If possible, please sign for them. Eh? You came all the way here just for this? Chen Naifu said embarrassedly, I can't help it. You have too many fans now. My 2 sons and 2 daughters have been pestering me for a long time, insisting that I ask for your autograph. Wang Zhong nodded. All right, he's just a kid. I understand. Thank you, Mr. Abai. Chen Naifu was overjoyed. After signing his name, Chen Naifu took his leave. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui began the arduous journey of building Blade 2. Thanks to the support of other consortiums, the construction of Blade 2 was completed 2 months ahead of schedule. The defensive armor of this Blade 2 was even tougher. The nebula chain was 3 meters longer, and 3 battle axes were installed on its back. In other words, after throwing the battle axe once in the past, it was gone. But now, he had 3 axes on his back, which meant that he had 3 more chances to throw them. This was very important to the ever-changing situation on the battlefield. Wang Zhong was very satisfied with this. But at the same time, he also received news that the other 19 robots in the arena were targeting him. This was also very easy to understand. Everyone was a competitor, and whoever was able to defeat Wang Zhong would be able to rise to fame. At that time, not only would he gain a large number of energy points, but he would also gain the support of many large consortiums. At that time, he would definitely be able to bring his robots to the next level. Finally, it was Wang Zhong's turn to compete. Before the competition, the list of contestants was kept secret. When it was time to go on stage, Wang Zhong discovered that there were a total of 5 strong opponents. Of the 3 robots, one held an extended electric drill, while the other 2 held an electric saw. These 3 were powerhouses with more than 10 victories. The other 2 had more than 15 victories. One was the Gundam, and the other was the Bigfoot Gundam. They really are strong opponents. Wang Zhong sighed in his heart. Even so, all of his supporters were shouting excitedly. The entire arena was filled with glowing words of Blade Edge. These were all made by Wang Zhong's fans. Now, even the opponents on the other side regarded Wang Zhong as their biggest enemy. Everyone was eyeing Wang Zhong covetously. The competition started. Just as Wang Zhong had guessed, everyone attacked Wang Zhong. Whoosh! A battle axe was thrown out first. It hit the weakest robot in the face and directly chopped it down. Then, he controlled the nebula chain and chained the two Gundams together. Facing so many enemies, Wang Zhong shuttled through them with difficulty. After 3 minutes, although he had defeated 6 robots, he was also seriously injured. At this time, these people also started to kill each other. This was because the time was almost up. According to the rules, every robot had to defeat at least one enemy in the next minute. Otherwise, they would not be able to advance. So, they attacked. As Wang Zhong had defeated many of them, he did not need to defeat any more enemies. He chose to retreat and rest. The strongest on the field was probably the Bigfoot monster. Its feet were huge and very heavy. Its super long height allowed it to easily step on anyone and crush them. Then, there was the guy with the electric drill. This person's electric drill was equipped with an extended drill bit. Once hit, the drill bit would spin and break through any defense. Wang Zhong was secretly shocked when he saw this. These fellows truly had their own strengths. After a minute, there were only 6 robots left on the field. These people attacked Wang Zhong at the same time. This time, Wang Zhong could not hold on. Before he could throw out the 2 battle axes, Blade's entire body was flickering with electricity. In the end, he could not hold on and could not move. Blade can't move. Sure enough, Blade can't hold on against the combined attacks of so many experts. Fortunately, Blade has a backup plan. The second form of armor is about to appear. Can he turn the tide this time? Let's wait and see. The commentator, like the audience, stood up excitedly to explain. The audience let out deafening cheers. Blade, Blade, who can compete with you? Blade, Blade, I love you, like a mouse loves rice. Blade is invincible, kill them all. Chi, chi, chi. In the loud cheers, the armor at the front of Blade finally opened and a burst of white smoke came out. Wang Zhong slowly walked out from inside. He twisted his neck and looked at the group of people who were eyeing him covetously. His body finally moved. Whoosh! His movements were swift and fierce as he attacked the Bigfoot monster. The pilot of the Bigfoot monster roared, "See if I don't stomp you into meat paste." Chi! The ion knife slashed across the feet of the Bigfoot monster. Logically speaking, the defense of its 2 big feet was amazing. Ordinary machines using ion knives could not cause any damage to the Bigfoot monster. However, Wang Zhong's Krypton metal battle armor increased the strength of the ion knife. With the support of the Krypton metal battle armor, the ion knife's explosive power was extremely strong. It easily cut open the legs of the Bigfoot monster. Oh my God, the Bigfoot monster is down. The Bigfoot monster's attack relies on its feet. Now that its feet have been cut off, the Bigfoot monster has lost its combat power. Amazing, too amazing, Blade is really invincible. As the Bigfoot monster fell, the remaining opponents panicked. They knew that with their strength, they were probably not the Bigfoot monster's opponent. Sure enough, in just 5 minutes, the opponents on the stage fell one after another. Wang Zhong stood in the middle with his hands raised high. He won. How many years has it been? Finally, someone has become an alien. I hope he can come back after going to the universe. Yes, we also want to go to the universe. Everyone sighed with emotion. After this battle, the higher-ups awarded Wang Zhong the first-place award and energy points. At the same time, the higher-ups informed Wang Zhong that in 7 days, he would take the airship sent by the starship and go to the starship to accept the ceremony of becoming an alien. At this moment, Wang Zhong was not very excited, but he felt a little strange. Alien, starship, what kind of existence is that? Before leaving, Yi Hui Hui did not cry or laugh. She just calmly prepared a lot of clothes for Wang Zhong. Bye, you are going to leave soon. You must take good care of your body. Take these clothes with you. I don't know how the prices are over there. With these clothes, you won't have to spend energy points to buy them at least for a while. Hui Hui, don't worry, I have a lot of energy points now. After saying that, Wang Zhong thought of something and quickly took Yi Hui's hand and transferred the prize money in the electronic bracelet to Yi Hui Hui. What are you doing? Yi Hui Hui was stunned. I'm leaving. You can keep these energy points. I can't take them. I have a bar here to make money. My sister will also ask the robots to send energy points. I don't need them. Now, Yi Hui Hui and Fatty Ye's contact method had become much more convenient. They could use robots to mix in the garbage and then transfer energy points. Hui Hui, why are you so disobedient? Just keep it when I tell you to. Wang Zhong shook his head and sighed. Listen to me, be good. But. No buts. Don't forget, you are not only taking care of yourself now. Wang Zhong touched Yi Hui's stomach. It was already slightly bulging and was as big as a watermelon. Then I will only take half. Yi Hui Hui stubbornly transferred half to Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong was helpless. He thought that it was fortunate that Fatty Yi was in the slave community, so he could forget about it. Okay, take care of yourself in the future. Sigh, I don't know if you can come back. Yi Hui Hui did not say this because she did not want Wang Zhong to worry. However, Wang Zhong hugged her and said, Don't worry, I will come back when I have a foothold there. Through the window in the house, the red light of the space carrier was particularly eye-catching in the dark night. This was the brightest place in the entire starry sky. We are going to the space carrier tomorrow. What kind of place is it? Wang Zhong fell into a deep sleep. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.